Meanwhile, in a sleek high-rise on Broadway in New York City, a major web portal company was in chaos. The IT department was holding an emergency meeting. Manager Cole, our servers are under a massive DDoS attack. Internal computers in PR and tech have been hijacked by a virus. It's a Trojan horse variant, extremely aggressive and hard to crack. Another added sweating. It's replicating too fast. Our firewalls are down. Users are reporting they can't access the homepage. The room was a cacophony of panic. This wasn't a standard glitch. Machines were locking up or shutting down entirely. Manager Cole's face was grim. What's the status of our own terminals? Mine is bricked. Same here. I can't even access the server recovery tools. We're dead in the water. Manager Cole slammed his hand on the table. Damn it, do we not have a single working computer in this department? Suddenly, a young intern with thick glasses tentatively raised his hand. Manager, I think mine is still working. The entire room fell silent, turning to stare at the intern in shock. The young man lowered his head, laughing nervously. I saw a thread on a forum early this morning sharing a new antivirus program. The comment said it was good, so I downloaded it to try it out. He paused, adjusting his glasses. I didn't expect it to actually kill the Trojan. The technicians were stunned. What kind of software can kill a Trojan that fast? Manager Cole's eyes went wide. What is it called? The intern scratched his head. It's called 361 PC Safety Manager. San Jose, California. The Tech Park. Inside the admin office of Tech Haven, the popular online forum. The department consisted of only 3 employees. Since its founding the year before, they had run on a skeleton crew. It was usually a relaxed gig, relying mostly on users to moderate themselves. That morning, Quinn Walters clocked in as usual, turned on his computer, and went to make coffee, expecting another lazy day. He was humming a tune, waiting for the water to boil, when his colleague Zach ran over, breathless. Quinn, have you seen the boards? Quinn stirred his instant coffee and yawned. Not yet. What's up? Why the panic? Usually, the biggest drama was a flame war between sports fans. No, Quinn, you don't get it. The entire forum is talking about one thing. We're being flooded. Do we need to intervene? Zach asked. What's big enough to flood the boards? Quinn was stunned. I checked the logs. Early this morning, some tech geek user posted a thread about doing a computer health check and shared a program called 361 PC Safety Manager. That thread hit over 100,000 views in a few hours. Thousands of comments. Now everyone is downloading it and posting their results. It's viral. Even the guys over at the other big portals are talking about it. How many views did you say? Quinn gasped. 100,000, Zach stammered. Quinn's eyes bugged out. We don't even have 100,000 users online at 3 a.m. Zach looked blankly at him. Huh. Morning in Chicago. The first thing Grace Miller did after waking up was throw open her window and shout across the alleyway to the adjacent house. Ethan Ford. Wake up, lazy bones. There was no response. Grace grabbed a clothes hanger and poked at Ethan's window. Still nothing. Is that jerk not home? Grace tilted her head, confused. Stupid Ethan, what are you doing? She pouted, closed the window, and got dressed. It was Sunday, so her parents were home. Lily Miller brought out bowls of savory oatmeal. Grace, when do the SAT results come out? Grace licked her lips. Mister, Zane said probably next week. It's always end of the month. Well, the school will call if the transcripts arrive, Lily said hopefully. I hope it's good news. If you get into college, you'll be the first in the family. Don't worry, Mom. I nailed it. Grace grinned. Lily nodded. Grace was always top 10 in her class. By the way, where's Ethan? Didn't you call him for breakfast? Lily asked. I yelled, but I don't think he's home. Grace replied, spooning up oatmeal. That's odd. I saw his light on early this morning. I hope nothing happened. Lily wiped her hands on her apron. I'll go check. A moment later, Grace froze, her spoon hovering midair. Crap, my bedsheets and comforter are drying on Ethan's balcony. She slapped her forehead. Mom won't get the wrong idea, will she? Surely not, right? It's just laundry. Why would she misunderstand that? Grace tried to console herself, thinking that running over to explain would only make her look guilty. She shook her head and continued eating, though a knot of anxiety tightened in her stomach. Across the alley, Lily arrived at the Ford front door and knocked. Ethan, you home? After a moment, hurried footsteps approached, and the door swung open. Oh, morning, Lily, Ethan said, rubbing sleep from his eyes. Why are you up so late? Catching up on sleep now that exams are over. Lily teased. Worked late last night. Ethan ushered her in. Come in. As soon as Lily stepped inside, she froze. Hanging on the balcony drying rack were pink bedsheets with little cartoon bears. Grace's sheets. Have a seat. I'll get you some water, Ethan said, heading to the kitchen. Lily walked to the balcony to confirm. Definitely Grace's. Why are they here? A sudden realization hit her like a lightning bolt. She covered her mouth. Did those two kids already? Did they make a mess of the sheets, panic about Lily finding out, and bring them here to wash? That has to be it. Lily felt a wave of worry. These kids, surely they didn't use protection? I need to have a serious talk with them. She sat down, composing herself as Ethan returned with water. Here you go. Lily took a sip and decided to probe gently. Ethan, about you and Grace. Over the last couple of days, did you two do something inappropriate? Ethan froze. Crap. Does she know we slashed Mrs. Gable's tires after that argument? That old hag must have blabbed. Lily, we did do it, but it wasn't Grace's fault. It was all my idea, Ethan said, taking the blame to protect Grace. What? You did it? And it was your idea? Lily was floored. He's so direct. She felt her face flush. Kids these days grow up fast. Cough. Did you make any preparations? Lily asked, trying to be subtle about safety. Preparations? No, completely unprepared. It was a spur-of-the-moment thing, Ethan said earnestly. If you want to blame someone, blame me. Lily was alarmed. No protection. Spur of the moment. And the sheets on the balcony. That's very risky. What if there are consequences? She stammered. I don't blame you. You're growing up, but... Ethan scratched his head, feeling guilty about the tire slashing. Lily, we won't do it again. I promise. Lily laughed helplessly. You're young and full of energy. How can you not? Just be safe next time. Ethan looked confused. Okay. I know. Lily sighed in relief. All right. I made oatmeal. Come over and eat. Don't cook for yourself. We're family. Ethan felt a warm glow. Thanks, Lily. I'll be right over. Lily returned home, heavy-hearted. She saw Grace eating and George reading the paper. George, come here a second. George looked up. What's wrong? Just come. Lily signaled toward the bedroom. Grace watched them go, confused. What are they hiding? Inside the bedroom, Lily recounted seeing the sheets and Ethan's confession. George was dumbstruck. Ethan really said that? That it was his idea? Yes. They're definitely in a relationship. They've crossed the line. George chuckled bitterly. Kids grow up fast. At least it's Ethan. I know him. He's hardworking, can fix computers, good business sense. If Grace ends up with him, I can't complain. Lily smiled. True. They grew up together. If they get married later, we can help raise the grandkids. George, what should we name the baby? George sweat dropped. Honey, aren't you jumping the gun? Lily laughed awkwardly. Maybe a little early. Listen, if they want to hide it, let's pretend we don't know. Don't pressure them. If Grace knows we know, she'll just hide more. She paused. But we need to give them the talk. If they have an accident before college, it's trouble. I'll work on Grace. You talk to Ethan. Be subtle. George waved his hand. All right. I'll find a time. Meanwhile, Ethan washed up and went next door. Morning, Princess Grace. Not morning anymore, Lord Ethan. Sun's high. You sleep like a rich heir, Grace teased. Ethan sat down. Hey, I work like a dog. Stayed up till dawn for the store event. Grace noticed his dark circles. You look like a raccoon. Be careful, or you'll burn out. Ethan winked. Worrying about my stamina for our future happiness? He dragged out the word happiness with a suggestive tone. Grace blushed crimson. Ethan Ford, you pervert. I'm a very upright citizen, he shrugged. Yeah, right. Grace rolled her eyes. Ethan sniffed his bowl. Lily's cooking is the best. Eat up. I'm done. Grace pushed her bowl away. You're leaving that much? Ethan asked. Grace patted her flat stomach. I'm gaining weight staying home. I'm fat. Ethan looked at her curves. She looked perfect in her jeans and tee. Fat? Where? You look great. I gained 4 kilos. That's not even a pound. Ethan rolled his eyes. Since when do you care about weight? Grace glared. Since I felt like it. None of your business. Ethan narrowed his eyes. Is this because I joked that you were heavy last week? Grace looked away, then lifted her chin defiantly. No, I don't care what you say. Ethan realized he'd hit the mark. He ruffled her hair. Grace, you dummy. Hey, don't treat me like a kid. She slapped his hand away, her heart pounding. Stupid Ethan. All right, I'm starving. Ethan started eating. I'll get some nuts from the kitchen, Grace said. She returned with a handful of walnuts and raisins. Here for the oatmeal. Ethan munched happily. This is the life. Can I just marry into your family and be a house husband? Grace turned red. Keep dreaming. Only an idiot would like you. Then you can marry into mine. Ethan mumbled with a mouthful of food. Grace kicked his shin under the table. Eat your food. Ethan suddenly turned and stared at her intently. Grace, don't move. What? Is there dirt on my face? She touched her cheek. Ethan leaned in, their faces inches apart. There's something in your eye. What is it? She blinked rapidly. It's me. Your eyes have me in them. Ethan's voice was calm, his gaze locked on hers. Grace froze, entranced for a split second before her face erupted in heat. She glared at him. Who is you in their eyes? Ethan, don't flatter yourself. Seeing her flushed face, Ethan grinned mischievously. Look at you, red as a tomato. And you deny it. Ugh, you jerk. Your face is a tomato. Grace bared her teeth and lunged at him, trying to grab his ear. Ethan was ready, catching her wrists. They struggled, but Grace used her leverage to tackle him, pinning him against the chair. She ended up straddling his lap to hold him down. They froze, noses almost touching, locked in a wrestler's embrace. You jerk. Grace Miller. Creak. The door opened. Grace? What are you two doing? Lily and George stood in the doorway, stunned. George looked particularly shocked. They really aren't hiding it anymore? Grace and Ethan petrified. The air was thick with awkwardness. Mom, Dad. Grace scrambled off Ethan's lap, face burning. We were just wrestling, playing. Oh, right. Lily nodded with a knowing look. George cleared his throat. Stop messing around. Enjoy your summer while you can. Once college starts, it's work time. Grace stuck out her tongue. I know, Dad. I start my internship at Mom's friend's firm in 2 days anyway. Lily smiled. You chose architecture. I pulled strings to get you in. Grace hugged her mom. I know, thanks, Mom. Lily turned to Ethan. Ethan, busy with the computer shop? Yeah, Lily. You look thin. Make sure you eat. Grace, bring him lunch at the shop tomorrow since you're home. What? Why me? Grace complained. Because you're free and he needs food. Lily shot her a look. Grace pouted. Fine. Ethan winked at her. Score. Grace glared back. Don't get cocky. After breakfast, Ethan went back to his room. Tank called immediately. Ethan, what did you do last night? Phones are ringing off the hook. Repairs, parts, custom builds. Henry can't keep up. Ethan grinned. The viral marketing worked. In the internet age, money could be made overnight. He knew the power of the web. He'd seen e-commerce explode in his past life. This was the Baidu, Alibaba, Tencent era in the making. Just a little SEO optimization, Ethan laughed. Tank, handle it. I'll be there soon. Ethan checked his computer. IceQ, Instant Messenger, was pinging like crazy. Hundreds of friend requests from the 361 software users. He loaded the activation code generator onto a flash drive and headed out. When he arrived at the shop, it was packed. Tank waved. Ethan, 8 repairs waiting and customers everywhere. I got the floor. Tank, go to the recruitment center. We need staff. Here's the job description. Tank took the paper. On it, by noon, the shop was a madhouse. Ethan was handling 20 people at once. But he was in his element. The low prices and official stock guarantee were selling hardware fast. He even had to hold interviews during lunch. The $500 monthly salary, high for the time, attracted a crowd. He hired a pair of twin sisters, Tiff and Britt Stone. Tiff, Zhuo Qingqing, was the elder, studying English. Britt, Zhuo Qianqian, was the younger, studying fashion. They were the first college students from their village. Thank you, boss. Britt bowed, pigtails bouncing. Tiff adjusted her glasses, looking serious. We won't let you down. Ethan smiled. Welcome aboard. Tank will get you uniforms. He sent them to do paperwork and dove back into the pile of 20 broken computers. Time to grind. Ethan hoisted a computer tower onto the workbench and began diagnostics, slipping into the zone so deep he forgot his hunger. Ethan, eat something. Tank bought box lunches. Little Hannah Payne chirped, holding up a styrofoam container with big, watery eyes. Thanks, Hannah. Put it there. I'll eat in a sec, Ethan said without looking up. Hannah puffed her cheeks. No, you always forget. Henry said you have to eat or your tummy will hurt. I'm watching you. Ethan turned and laughed nervously. Okay, eating now. Under Hannah's supervision, he wolfed down the food and went back to work. Meanwhile, Tiff and Britt finished their paperwork and left the shop. Sis, what do you think of the boss? He seems nice. Young Tiff smiled. Britt spun around happily. Yeah, he looks younger than 25. And the shop is so modern. We need to call Mom and Dad, Tiff said. Tell them we got jobs. $500 a month. That's huge. In their city, the average wage was around $400. $500 was a fortune for fresh grads. We have to work hard. Tiff adjusted her glasses. She had big dreams of making it in the city. 9 p.m. Tank locked the front door and collapsed onto the sofa. My legs are jelly. Tank groaned. Water, Tank. Hannah asked. Please, Hannah. And call me Wayne or Tank, not Iron Brother. Tank laughed. Hannah brought him tea. Where's your brother? Doing the books. Tank walked over to the counter. Henry Payne was scribbling furiously. Didn't know you could do accounting, Henry, Tank said. Ethan taught me a simple method, Henry muttered. Tank looked at the repair bay. Is Ethan still going? Yeah. Said he'd eat later. Ethan emerged, stretching, eyes bloodshot. Done. 25 units. Dust build up mostly. He cracked his neck. Ethan, go eat. Tank urged. I'll grab noodles later. Henry, what's the damage? Ethan sat down. Henry took a deep breath. Total sales today, parts and builds, 103 orders. Revenue, $25,910. Gross profit, $6,320. Not including the repair fees. Tank's eyes bulged. $6,000? Profit? In one day? We're rich. Tank hugged Ethan, jumping up and down. He had never seen that much money. Ethan grinned. We're just getting started. Buzz. Ethan's phone rang. It was Nick Zander from Sterling Tech Distributors. Why is Nick calling this late? Ethan had recently signed a deal with Sterling Tech to diversify his supply chain, not wanting to rely solely on Southbridge traders. Hey, Nick. Late night. Ethan answered cheerfully. Ethan, my friend. How's business? Surviving, Ethan replied. Tank snickered in the background. Surviving with $6,000 profit a day. Listen, good news, Nick boomed. We got a special batch of official surplus. Great prices. Better than last time. Power supplies, graphics cards. I'm holding it for you. Ethan paused. Nick was too eager. But the prices were good. Lower than Southbridge. Higher margins. Thanks, Nick. I still have stock, but send me the list. I won't take it all, though. My shop is small. Sure. But act fast, Nick warned. They hung up. Why is he so nice? Tank asked. Commission, Ethan said. But we have to be careful. We'll take 20% from him, keep 80% with Southbridge. Balance the risk. Tank nodded. I'll handle the customers tomorrow. And train the twins. Let's go. Ethan stood up. Celebrating tonight. Late night barbecue on me. Yes. Tank cheered. Hannah bounced happily. They locked up and headed to the downtown food strip. Ethan fell into a rhythm over the next week. Up at 6, home at 11. Sales were climbing. He launched a basic West Ford online store. Customers ordered parts, wired money to his bank account, and he shipped via the postal service. It was slow, logistics in the early 2000s were primitive, but the demand was there. He saw the gaps. No instant pay, no fast shipping. Opportunities, he thought. I will build the ecosystem. Monday morning, Ethan went to the hospital to pick up his mom, Mary. She was finally discharged but needed months of rest. They arrived home to find George Miller setting up a small pile of sage and a lighter at the door. Cross the smoke, wash away the bad luck. George grinned. Frank Ford laughed. George, since when are you superstitious? Just a good omen, George said. Everyone crossed the smoke. Lily had a feast ready. Lunch was lively. Mary asked, Ethan, when are the scores out? Any day now, Ethan said. I just hope for community college, Mary sighed. If he gets a degree, I'll visit the temple. He's smart, he'll be fine, Lily said. And his shop is doing so well. Frank laughed. Success is good. A girlfriend would be better. George tapped the table. Hey, Frank, don't rush him. Grace isn't seeing anyone either. Everyone looked at Grace, who was burying her face in a bowl of rice. Grace looked up, confused. Why is everyone looking at me? Grace looked bewildered, a grain of rice stuck to her lip. Dad, what? Lily shook her head. Grace, slow down. You eat like a starving refugee. Eating is a blessing, Mary laughed. Grace blushed, put down her bowl, and began eating with exaggerated elegance. Ethan stifled a laugh. Fake lady. After lunch, Grace and Ethan were assigned dish duty. Ethan washed, Grace rinsed. Going to the shop later? Grace asked. Yeah, lots to fix. Can't bear to leave me. Ethan smirked. Grace turned red. I'll throw you out the window. Ethan laughed. You wouldn't dare. Grace promptly put him in a headlock. Yield. Unfair. Sneak attack. Ethan grabbed a handful of soap suds and flicked them at her face. Gross. Grace wiped her face, preparing to counterattack. Lily, need a new sponge. Ethan shouted toward the living room. Coming. Lily called back. Grace froze, glaring. Coward. Lily entered, handed over a sponge, and smiled. Teamwork, you two. Once she left, Grace pinched Ethan's arm. I owe you one. How's the internship? Ethan asked. Hard. Lots of drafting. But I want to design the tallest building in the city. I'll hire you to build it then. Ethan said. Pfft. You can't afford a skyscraper. Watch me. They finished up and retreated to Grace's room to escape parental lectures. Grace sat in her chair. Ethan sprawled on her bed, inhaling the scent of her room. Got nail clippers? Ethan asked. No, I'm not cutting your nails again. Grace yelled. How did you know I was going to ask? I know everything you think. Grace turned to her computer. Ugh, frozen again. She clicked the mouse furiously. It stuck. I'll fix it, Ethan said. It was just low RAM and bloatware. What do I get? Ethan smirked. Fix it first. Grace huffed. Ethan pretended it was a complex surgery, typing random commands. Done. Phew. Grace checked. Smooth as silk. Yay. All right. Ethan held out his hand. My turn. Ms. Miller, you don't want your computer to break again, do you? Ethan narrowed his eyes, giving her a teasing look. Grace squirmed under his gaze, flushing. What? What do you want? Ethan, stay calm. If you ask for something weird, I'll put you in a chokehold. Ethan chuckled. Nothing weird. Just cut my nails. I fix your computer. You have hands. Grace puffed her cheeks. Bully. You do it better. Deal. Ethan gloated. Fine. But fix it permanently. Grace felt defeated. Next time I win. Ethan sat on the edge of the bed. The Emperor is ready. Concubine, proceed. Grace rolled her eyes. Don't get cocky. You'll fall into my trap one day. I'm willing to fall for a lifetime. Ethan grinned. Grace blushed. Get lost. But her heart raced. She grabbed the clippers. Sit still. She held his hand gently. Ethan melted. Her fingers were soft, slender, beautiful. She really should model for West Ford Tech ads, he thought. With looks like that, she'd sell 1 million motherboards. He giggled. Grace looked up. Why are you laughing like a creeper? Thinking about some girl. Yep, a beautiful one, Ethan admitted. Grace's eyes narrowed. Is it Sophie from class? Or Wendy? She sounded jealous. Who? No. Why do you care? Ethan teased. I don't. Just asking. Grace turned away, haughty. She finished clipping quickly. Ouch. Watch the skin. Ethan yelped. Oops. Sorry, Grace said, voice dripping with fake apology. Take that. Done. Go away. Already. You're quick too. I am not quick. Yes, you are. They bickered until Ethan left. Grace watched him go, sticking her tongue out at his back. Ethan said goodbye to the parents. Mary called out, Ethan, buy some coffee beans on your way back. Your Aunt Shirley is coming to visit tomorrow. Okay, Mom. Aunt Shirley? Frank's cousin. They rarely spoke. Why is she coming? Probably nothing good. Ethan biked to the shop. Tiff and Britt were working the floor in their new red West Ford polos and skirts. They looked professional and pretty. Male customers were buying parts just to talk to them. Good hires, Ethan thought. Hey, Ethan, Henry greeted him. Where's Tank? Registering the company. Should be back. Just then, Tank walked in, carrying a briefcase, looking like $1 million. Ethan, I'm back. Tank beamed. What's the good news, mister? Say. Ethan joked. Tank held up 2 fingers. 1. West Ford Technology is officially registered. Here's the license. He slammed the papers on the counter. Great work, Tank, Ethan said. And the second thing? Tank grinned goofily. Sally agreed to be my girlfriend. I'm a taken man. Tank shouted, vibrating with joy. Ethan clapped him on the back. Nice. How'd you manage that? Gave her chocolates this morning and just asked. She said yes. Tank laughed. Ethan raised an eyebrow. That easy? Hope she's serious. He kept his doubts to himself. After closing, Ethan held a staff meeting. Tiff, Britt, Tank, and Henry gathered around. First, we are officially West Ford Technology, Ethan announced. The twins applauded. We have capital now. Here's the plan. 1. I'll find a location for a flagship store. 2. Tank, keep recruiting. 3. We are launching a cyber cafe division. Internet cafes are the future gold rush. We need to grab that market. 4. We need servers for 361 security. I'm going to look for venture capital or financing to spin off the security software into its own division. It has massive potential. The team took notes furiously. Ethan, are cyber cafes really that profitable? Tank asked. Trust me, Ethan smiled. The next 10 years are the golden age of the internet. It's like printing money. If we stand in the wind, even pigs can fly. He needed more talent. He thought of Professor Hall, Huang He, from a university placement office. He needed to pay him a visit. Meeting adjourned. Ethan went back to the repair bench. 8 more units to go. He worked until 8 p.m. Tank had left early for his date. Henry closed the books. Today was good. Not a weekend, but gross profit is around $5,500, Henry reported. Ethan nodded. Good work. He biked home, watching cars pass him. Need to get a car. Maybe a driver's license first. He got home at 9, quiet as a mouse so as not to wake his parents. Next morning, Ethan was woken not by Grace, but by loud voices in the living room. He checked his phone. Seen slept in. He shuffled out in flip-flops, hair a mess. Two middle-aged women were on the couch. Hey, it's Ethan. Look how tall he is. One woman in a black dress smiled, a fake plastic smile. The other, in red, tooted, sleeping Titan. Kids these days. It was Aunt Shirley and Aunt Patty, cousins of his dad. Say hi to your aunts, Mary said. Ethan muttered a greeting and fled to the bathroom. He couldn't stand Aunt Shirley. She was always condescending. Washing his face, he listened. Frank, Aunt Shirley said, sipping tea. I'm here to see Mary, but also, remember that 5-acre lot by Old Creek? You guys don't farm it. It's just sitting there. Sell it to me. I want to build a temporary loading dock. I'll give you a fair price. $800 an acre. Frank frowned. I can't. Promised Dad I wouldn't sell the land. Oh, come on, little brother. It's wasted space. It's easy money, Shirley pressed. No, seriously. It's not about money. It's family land. Frank held firm. Shirley's face soured. She spotted Ethan coming out. Ethan, come here. Ethan sat down. What's up, Aunt Shirley? Scores are out today, right? How did you do? Confident? Even community college is fine. Ethan shrugged. It went okay. Shirley sneered slightly. Just okay? That won't do. No degree means a hard life. Aunt Patty chimed in. Look at Shirley's son, Sheldon. He was top 20, probably got into state. A young man with glasses sitting in the corner adjusted his frames. I'm 10 points over the cutoff. Should be fine. See? Sheldon is a genius. Shirley beamed. Ring ring. Shirley's phone buzzed. She answered, then shrieked. What? Teacher? The scores are in? What did Sheldon get? Really? Oh my God. She hung up and screamed. Sheldon, you got 1450. You're into the university. Aunt Patty clapped. Congrats. I told you. Ethan, you need to learn from your cousin. Aunt Shirley's face wore a look of haughty superiority as she smiled thinly. You know, Frank, Mary, getting an education isn't just about hard work. It requires a certain amount of natural talent. Sometimes, studying yourself to death won't get you good grades if the spark isn't there. Her surface intention was to comfort Ethan Ford, but in reality, she was implying he simply lacked the brains. Compare Ethan to her son? Please. Since junior high, she had enrolled Sheldon in every advanced placement course and tutor available. That was why Sheldon achieved such results. In this economy, just getting into a state college was good, but getting into a top-tier university? That was a golden ticket to a career. A university degree was precious metal. Oh, yes, and Shirley's right. It really does depend on talent. Sheldon is so gifted at his studies, and you're so good at making money, Shirley. You really are blessed. Aunt Patty laughed, continuing to kiss up to her older sister. Aunt Shirley felt smug. She looked at Frank Ford and smiled. Little brother, about that matter I mentioned earlier, you really should consider it. Frank's face showed his struggle. If he refused, he'd be called heartless and cold to family. But if he agreed, he'd feel sick to his stomach. Aunt Shirley, there's no need to consider the land. Ethan spoke up suddenly. Grandpa left specific instructions before he passed. The land and the old house cannot be sold. Even if we're broke, we don't sell. He saw his father's expression and knew he had to be the one to play the bad guy. He didn't contact these aunts much anyway, so he wasn't afraid of offending them. Aunt Shirley's face darkened. She looked at Frank, then at Ethan. She knew that with Ethan here today, this deal probably wouldn't happen. This kid has no manners, she thought. Adults are talking. Who gave you the right to speak? However, as a guest, she couldn't exactly throw a tantrum on the spot. Oh, Ethan, Shirley asked with a fake smile, trying to pivot to a topic that would embarrass him. Your SAT scores came out today, right? What did you get? Just then, Grace Miller walked in from the door. Hi, Mr. and Mrs. Ford. Ethan smiled. I don't know the score yet. Waiting on the mail or the call. By the way, Grace, did the school call today? Grace dragged her tired body over and sat next to Ethan, sighing. I don't know. Our landline at home seems to be broken. I took the receiver to get fixed this morning. Probably won't be ready today. If it's not fixed, we can head to the school this afternoon. Grace's appearance made Aunt Shirley's eyes light up. What a beautiful girl. Grace was wearing a white button-down shirt and jeans, her black hair cascading down her shoulders. Her delicate, exquisite features were like early spring flowers, bright and moving, radiating youth. Her son, Sheldon, the young man in glasses, stared blankly at Grace, completely stunned. Hello, I'm Sheldon, he stammered, pushing up his glasses and blushing. In front of the beauty, he suddenly became awkward. Oh, hi. Grace responded casually, her attitude cool. Since they weren't her relatives, she didn't feel the need to fake enthusiasm. It felt too hypocritical. My goodness, whose daughter is this? She's absolutely gorgeous. Aunt Shirley exclaimed. This was actually genuine. Mary Ford replied. Our neighbor, George Miller's daughter, Grace. Our two families visit each other all the time. Practically family. The old saying, a close neighbor is better than a distant relative, was currently being interpreted perfectly. Hearing that Grace's dad was a manager at the mill, Aunt Shirley immediately switched to an enthusiastic smile. Is that so? I was just saying, how did this child grow up to be so pretty? Like an angel, so spirited. Grace squeezed out a smile. Thanks for the compliment. But she immediately turned and leaned close to Ethan, pouting. Ethan, you won't believe it. When I was riding my bike out today, a stray dog suddenly jumped out and scared me. I fell off. Her tone had a hint of coquettishness, incredibly cute. She showed Ethan the bruise on her elbow, where the skin was slightly scraped. How could you be so careless? Honestly, Ethan took her arm, carefully examining the scrape. Fortunately, it wasn't serious, just a little red. Come on, let's go to my room. I'll put some antiseptic on it. Oh, hee. Grace smiled sweetly. The intimate behavior between the two was watched by Sheldon, feeling like needles were stabbing into his chest. The envy, jealousy, and hate in his heart were overflowing. Damn it, what is the relationship between these two? Under everyone's gaze, Ethan led Grace back to his room. Those two kids have a great relationship. Just like brother and sister. Aunt Shirley laughed dryly. She had originally thought Grace would be a good match for her son, but seeing how close Grace was with Ethan, the idea was half-killed. If this girl was dating Ethan, then if Sheldon married her later, wouldn't he be picking up seconds? No, absolutely not. I won't agree to that. Meanwhile, inside the Oak Creek High School faculty office, Mr. Zane was in the office, leisurely drinking tea. Hey Zane, SAT scores are out today. I bet your class 1 has quite a few heading to universities this year. Another homeroom teacher, Mr. Moore laughed. Based on a mock test, probably only half. Zane shook his head, sighing. Oak Creek High, when looked at across the greater Chicago area, ranked in the top 10, but the acceptance rate to four-year universities was still tough. Half is pretty good. My class probably won't even hit half. Moore laughed self-deprecatingly. As they chatted, hurried footsteps suddenly came from the hallway. Bang! The door was pushed open with force, startling the teachers inside. They all turned to look. Appearing at the door was the white-haired Principal Stewart. Zane! Mr. Zane! Is Mr. Zane from Class 1 here? Stewart shouted hurriedly. Principal? I'm here. Sitting in the corner, Zane quickly stood up. Principal Stewart, face full of excitement, walked over quickly and shook Zane's hand heavily, gratefully saying, Mr. Zane, thank you so much. You've brought glory to the school. Huh? What? Zane was bewildered, having no idea what was happening. How did he suddenly bring glory to the school? Mr. Zane, I knew I was right about your teaching ability. This SAT cycle, you gave me a huge surprise. Huh? Stewart was very agitated. Principal, what happened? Why don't I know? Zane asked blankly. Principal Stewart took a deep breath and said solemnly, Mr. Zane, I just received the SAT scores for our school. The highest scoring student in our school is in your class. The SAT max score is 1,600, and our school's highest score is 1,590. 1,590 points. Zane and the other teachers in the office heard this score, and their jaws nearly hit the floor. Several teachers stood up abruptly. What? 1,590? 3 teachers exclaimed in unison. The number crashed down like a massive meteorite, setting off stormy waves in everyone's hearts. 1,590 points. What kind of God-tier score was this? Since the founding of Oak Creek High, since the SATs existed, this was the highest score. This score was probably the state top scorer, the valedictorian of Illinois. Mr. Zane was stunned, thoroughly stunned. 1,590, and from a student in his own class. How'd I not know I had such a powerful student? Was it Vince, who usually tests first? But his mock tests were only around 1,400. Principal, who? Who is this student? Zane asked urgently. You're the homeroom teacher. You should have an idea. His name is Ethan. Ethan Ford. Yes, Ethan Ford, Stewart said. What? It's Ethan. Zane was dumbfounded. He never expected the one to get this score would be Ethan. Although he had improved a lot in later tests, breaking 1,200 or 1,300, he never expected the official exam would reach such a level. It was too unexpected. Haha, congratulations, Mr. Zane. Zane, don't just stand there, go give Ethan the good news. The state valedictorian is definitely him. Mr. Moore said enviously. Right, I'll call him immediately. Zane found a contact number and dialed, but found it wouldn't connect. He tried twice more, Still no connection. Principal Stewart shouted urgently. Can't get through? Stop calling. Go to the kid's house immediately. Okay, I'm going. Zane rushed out the door. Just as he left, a call came to Principal Stewart's cell phone. Stewart picked it up, saw the name, and his expression turned serious. It was a call from the State Department of Education. Hello, Director Zhang, hello. Stewart greeted repeatedly. Haha, Stewart, congratulations. Your school produced a state valedictorian this year. 1590, amazing. I'm afraid the universities are going to be fighting over your student this year. Director Zhang laughed loudly. Hearing the words state valedictorian, Stewart confirmed it instantly. This score was indeed the highest in the state. State valedictorian. Thank you, Director Zhang. Stewart shouted excitedly. The other teachers in the office couldn't help but feel excited hearing those words. There was only one state valedictorian per year, and to think they came from Oak Creek High, it was an honor for everyone. After hanging up, Stewart's excitement hadn't faded. He wanted to meet this student personally. No, I have to go there myself. He dashed out to catch up with Mr. Zane. The other teachers watched his movements and were stunned. The 50-something-year-old principal was surprisingly fit. Inside the bedroom, Ethan was applying red medicinal oil to Grace's wound. Easy. Please, I'm already being gentle. Slower, it stings. Okay, I'll go slower. Ethan, you don't need to put that much on, do you? Better to keep it moist. Don't worry about using too much. Ethan applied it carefully, fully focused. Grace stole a glance at his profile. From this angle, Ethan looked pretty decent. Was it true that men looked most handsome when they were serious? Why didn't she think Ethan was handsome before? Maybe because they were too familiar, seeing each other every day. So she took it for granted. Grace felt a little confused. All right, done. Ethan raised his head and smiled. Grace looked down and saw Ethan had also carefully applied a Band-Aid. Thanks, Ethan, Grace grinned. Just thanks? No action to show your appreciation. Ethan grinned mischievously. Grace looked at him suspiciously. What kind of action do you want? Ethan leaned his right cheek forward. How about a reward kiss? Get lost. Thud. Ethan was kicked off the bed. Grace Miller, you bite the hand that feeds you. Stinky Ethan, you give an inch and take a mile. Ethan rubbed his butt, grimacing. Grace. I'll show you what playing the long game means later. Blah. I'm waiting. Grace made a funny face. By the way, Ethan, are those two women outside your relatives? Ethan got up to pack away the medicine on the bed. Yeah, Aunt Shirley and Aunt Patty. Relatives we only see once a year. Let's just stay in the room. I can't be bothered to go out and entertain them. Ethan lacked interest. After putting the things away, he lay back on the bed. Grace mimicked him and lay down too, her chest rising and falling. A refreshing scent drifted into Ethan's nose. It was Grace's unique scent. Was she really marinated in soap? Grace, you smell really good. Be honest, do you usually use perfume? Ethan asked. Perfume? Why would I use that stuff? I don't smell bad. Grace lifted her left hand and sniffed herself. No weird smells, just a hint of shampoo. Then why do I always feel like there's a wonderful scent on you? You don't smell it yourself? Ethan asked curiously. Grace shook her head. Nope. No. I need to smell it more carefully. Ethan rolled over to look at her. Grace turned as well. They lay on the bed, suddenly 4 eyes meeting. Gazes locked. Both were stunned simultaneously. A strange atmosphere flowed between them. Grace's little heart couldn't help but beat faster, her cheeks feeling hot. What is this? Why is my heart beating so fast? Grace, I really smell it. A scent I can't describe. Ethan's voice suddenly broke the silence between them. Grace sniffed and suddenly smelled the scent on Ethan too. Not perfume, but a very familiar, pleasant smell. I smell on you too. Your shampoo isn't this scent. Did you switch shampoos? Ethan shook his head and smiled. No, haven't switched yet, but I'll switch the next bottle to match yours. Knock, knock, knock. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. Ethan, there's a guest outside saying he's looking for you. Is it your friend? Mary Ford's voice sounded from outside. Ethan stood up from the bed, surprised. Someone looking for me? Let's go see who it is. Ethan opened the door and went out. Grace got up and followed. Walking to the living room entrance, Ethan saw a middle-aged man in a suit and glasses. He paused. He had never seen this person before. The man in the suit saw Ethan, his eyes lighting up. He asked happily, Excuse me, are you Ethan, student Ethan Ford? Yeah, I'm Ethan. And you are? Ethan looked him up and down suspiciously. The man in the suit looked refined and educated, not like a bad guy. Hello, Ethan. Let me introduce myself. I am the Regional Admissions Director for Stanford University. My name is Mark Sterling. Mark Sterling shook Ethan's hand happily. his eyes full of warm laughter. Stanford University? Mary Ford gasped, her eyes widening as she covered her mouth. That was a world-famous, top 10 university. Why would they suddenly visit here? Aunt Shirley and her son were also stunned. No way, right? Why would a recruiter from Stanford come here? This guy, isn't he a scammer? Aunt Shirley questioned skeptically. Mom, no need to say it. This guy is definitely a scammer. Sheldon stated with certainty. Stanford was a top-tier university. What connection could it have with Ethan's family? Hearing this, Mark Sterling looked a bit embarrassed and quickly explained, No, I really am an admissions officer from Stanford. I came today specifically to recruit Ethan to Stanford. Blow it out your ear. Stanford recruiting? Why will my cousin get recruited? Did he rank top 10 in the country? Sheldon scoffed, feeling like he heard a joke. Little brother, I think he's definitely a swindler here to cheat you out of money. Aunt Shirley nodded in agreement. Frank scratched his head. The man in the suit didn't look like a crook. Mark Sterling got anxious. He pulled a business card and an admission letter from his pocket. I really am not a scammer. Look, here is my card and this brochure. I came because Ethan is this year's Illinois State valedictorian. He scored 1590 on the SATs. Mark wiped the sweat from his forehead, explaining hurriedly. What? 1590? Mary exclaimed. 1590? Everyone except Ethan was dumbfounded. Frank's jaw dropped, so wide you could fit a fist in it. What did you say? How many points? My Ethan scored how much? Frank grabbed Mark Sterling's shoulders in excitement, shaking him wildly. Cough, cough, mister. Forward it. It's 1590. That is correct. Mark answered, nearly getting shaken to the point of vomiting. 1,590. Frank let go, grabbing his own hair, looking at Ethan in disbelief. He never imagined Ethan could score such a high number. It was completely unexpected. Grace was also jaw-dropped. She suddenly covered her mouth, afraid she would scream in excitement. Oh my God, 1590. Smelly Ethan actually scored that high. And he's the state valedictorian? That's too badass. Aunt Shirley and her son were bewildered. 1,590? State valedictorian? How is that possible? Are you guys mistaken? Aunt Shirley asked in shock. Mark Sterling opened the admission letter. No mistake. It's this address, the Mill Residential Compound, Building 3, Unit 1. Ethan Ford. We don't make mistakes. The crowd gathered to look. It really was this address. Sheldon suddenly raised an eyebrow, questioning. No, this has to be fake too. How do you know the score's so fast? My cousin hasn't even received the school notification yet. How do you know ahead of time? Mark Sterling laughed dryly. Actually, I knew yesterday afternoon, the day the state scores were finalized. Actually, for top-tier universities like ours, we have our methods. Son, did you really score that high? Mary turned to Ethan, wanting the answer from his own mouth. Ethan shrugged and smiled. Not much difference from my own estimate. The score was within expectations. As soon as he said this, everyone looked at him in shock. Within expectations? Is that something a human says? Ha ha ha. Son, you really made something of yourself. Mary chose to believe Ethan unconditionally. She hugged him excitedly, her eyes red, tears glistening. In this moment, she felt that no matter how hard she had worked, it was all worth it. Knock, knock, knock. Just then, urgent knocking came from the door. Who is it now? Grace ran to open it. Teach. Mr. Zane. Principal Stewart. Grace was stunned seeing the visitors. Grace, is Ethan home? Is he home? Mr. Zane asked hurriedly. He is. Teacher, come in. Grace stepped aside, dazed. Zane and Principal Stewart rushed into the house. Seeing Ethan, their faces were full of excitement. Zane ran over, grabbing Ethan's hand. Ethan, congratulations. Congratulations. Ethan, your scores are out. 1590. The highest score in the state. You are this year's state valedictorian. I am so proud of you. Principal Stewart also walked up to Ethan, beaming. Student Ethan, you have brought glory to our school. For this, representing the school, I am awarding you $2,000 as a bonus. You are the pride of Oak Creek High. Frank was stunned. What? 2,000? That was a big sum, enough to cover a chunk of college expenses. Mark Sterling straightened his suit and said seriously, See, I wasn't wrong. Ethan really is the state valedictorian. Ethan, I now formally represent Stanford University in inviting you to study at Stanford. We can waive all tuition for your entire study period and provide a scholarship of $50,000 a year to cover all your daily expenses. Furthermore, we promise to provide you with the best research environment and resources. Everyone present except Ethan was shocked speechless. These conditions were too good, Not only free tuition, but 50 grand a year in scholarships. And the best resources for any student. This was the ultimate temptation. Aunt Shirley was dazed. She didn't expect it to be true. Ethan really was the state valedictorian, and now he was being specially recruited by a top international university. She felt like a clown. Cough. Congrats, Ethan, congrats. She smiled awkwardly, wishing she could find a crack in the floor to hide in. Sheldon's face was ugly. His sense of superiority had been crushed repeatedly. His heart was filled with envy, jealousy, and hate toward Ethan. Grace was genuinely happy for Ethan. Getting into a top 10 world university was something countless people dreamed of. But her heart twitched painfully, because if Ethan agreed to go to Stanford, he would have to go to California, far away. He might not come back for a long, long time. Stinky Ethan. See, congrats. Grace forced a smile, her eyes holding a disappointment she couldn't hide. Well, Ethan, our school is one of the world's top institutions with the best resources. I believe you will be very happy studying and living there. Mark Sterling looked at Ethan eagerly. For a moment, everyone's eyes converged on Ethan, waiting for his answer. Ethan looked calm, smiling slightly. Thank you for your school's kindness, however. Going that far away to study isn't my ambition. So, sorry, I don't want to go to Stanford. Ethan's words caused an uproar. Mister. Zane grabbed his hair with both hands. What is Ethan doing? He actually refused a top world university. My God, he missed a huge opportunity. Going to Stanford meant returning as a social elite, a high-level talent that companies would fight over. How could he just refuse like that? He was anxious inside, but couldn't say anything, only feeling regret. Aunt Shirley and the others looked stunned. They didn't know why Ethan would refuse bluntly. Incredible. Conversely, Grace's eyes smiled like crescent moons. The gloom from earlier swept away. Stinky Ethan really refused. You can't take it back now. Mark Sterling asked urgently. Why? Ethan, this is such a good opportunity. Why refuse? Ethan looked toward his parents and smiled. We have an old saying. While one's parents are alive, one should not travel far, unless there is a proper purpose. California, to me, is still too far. And my parents are getting older. Their health isn't great. Life is short. In the time remaining, I just want to stay by my parents' side. He didn't want to repeat the regrets of his past life. He didn't ask for immense wealth, only that his parents be healthy and happy every day. That was enough. Just that. Ethan's words moved everyone present, especially Mary and Frank. Both had relieved smiles on their faces. Mary patted Ethan's head, dotingly saying, Son, you don't need to consider us. We can take care of ourselves. Whatever you want to do, go do it. Mom, I don't want to go far. Ethan shook his head. All right, Mom respects your choice. Ethan, you've grown up. You're a man now. You should make your own decisions, Mary encouraged. Ethan hugged his mother gently. Thanks, Mom. I know. Seeing this, Mark Sterling's nose tingled. Indeed, with parents here, why travel far? He secretly wiped a tear from the corner of his eye and laughed. Since Ethan has made his choice, all right, I won't persuade you further. But if you change your mind, you can contact me directly. Mark handed his card to Ethan. Ethan smiled, took the card, glanced at it, and put it in his pocket. Ethan, I'll take my leave. Until we meet again. Mark bowed slightly and turned to leave. Take care, Mr. Sterling, Mary called out. After he left, Zane lamented. Ethan, by refusing Stanford, you might have missed the biggest opportunity of your life. The future is unknown. Teacher, are you so certain? Ethan asked with a smile. Zane was speechless for a moment, then smiled. Fine, I'm worrying too much. True, who can say what tomorrow holds? As they spoke, hurried footsteps came from the stairs. Not one person, but many. A middle-aged man ran up first, entered, and immediately introduced himself. Is this student Ethan's home? I am Mr. Lee from the MIT admissions office. Congratulations, Ethan, on being the state valedictorian. We want... Before he could finish, a portly middle-aged man behind him interrupted. Hello, Ethan. I'm Mr. Zung from the Harvard admissions office. I'm from UChicago. I'm Mr. Chun from Northwestern. Admissions officers from domestic powerhouses flooded into the house, nearly breaking the threshold. Principal Stewart and Mr. Zane watched all this with beaming smiles. Mary was overwhelmed, not knowing how to greet them all. Aunt Shirley and her son looked like they had swallowed a fly. These were all top domestic universities, Ivy Leagues, and elite local schools. Harvard and MIT were dreams for countless students. Now, these famous university teachers were fighting to win over Ethan. It showed just how badass the title of state valedictorian was. Ethan laughed bitterly, raising a hand to calm them. Teachers, please, no rush. Let's sit down and chat slowly. Great, my thoughts exactly. Mr. Zung from Harvard laughed, grabbing the main spot on the sofa first. Ethan and Grace served tea and water to the teachers, settling them in. Then he sat down to chat. Although Ethan already had a target school in mind, it didn't stop him from using this chance to make contacts. These were elite universities. Making a connection with these admissions officers meant having a network for the future. This was invisible social capital. Ethan wouldn't miss it. In the chat, Ethan controlled the room, occasionally asking about schools to make sure everyone felt respected, even those from slightly less aggressive institutions. These schools all offered extremely generous conditions, waived tuition, hefty scholarships, and some even guaranteed grad school placement. These tempting offers made Mary very interested, wishing she could accept immediately, at least considering between MIT and Harvard. But Ethan's mind wasn't there. He didn't rush to agree, continuing to chat about admission terms. After chatting for a full 2 hours, Ethan sent them off one by one, promising to consider it carefully. After everyone left, Aunt Shirley stood up to leave, mostly because she felt too ashamed to stay. Aunt Shirley, Aunt Patty, won't you stay for lunch? Mary asked. Cough. No, another day, another day. Aunt Shirley laughed dryly, dragging her son away in a hurry. When everyone was gone, Mary collapsed on the sofa, rubbing her head. Son, have you decided where to go? Ethan stole a glance at Grace and smiled. Not yet, Mom. No rus. Mom, Dad, leave the school application to me. You don't need to worry about it. Mary smiled. Okay, my son is an adult. You handle it. I'm a bit tired. Go to rest in a room. Frank helped Mary back to the room, leaving only Ethan and Grace in the living room. Grace sat on the sofa, hugging her knees, her jeans outlining a perfect curve. She tucked her black hair behind her ear, blinking her watery eyes at Ethan. Stinky Ethan, you haven't decided where to go. Ethan sat next to her, staring at her, smiling. I have. Where? Havat omit? Grace asked quickly. Ethan looked at her, his eyes full of affection, and smiled faintly. Neither. I'm going where you are. Where I am. Ethan, stop joking. I can't go to Harvard or MIT with you. I'll be satisfied if I could just get into a good state university. But you're the state valedictorian. You should really consider Harvard or MIT. Grace pouted, then stood up from the sofa. All right, I'm going to see if the phone is fixed. I need to check my score. Ethan smiled. Don't go, it won't be fixed that fast. Use my cell. He took his mobile phone from his pocket and handed it to her. Grace took the phone, clicking her tongue. Ethan, boss forward. Having a cell phone is nice. You want one? Yeah. If you want one, just say so. I'll give you one. Give me one? You're that nice? Let me be clear. This lady sells her talent, not her body. Talent? That works. Sing 2 little tunes for the master first. Stinky Ethan. Do you want to become a Buddha? What Buddha? A Buddha with a head full of bumps. Grace, calm down. Impulse is the devil. Grace lowered her hands, then called the school. A moment later, hearing her SAT score, her face showed joy. Really? Are you sure? Thanks, teacher. Grace hung up, excited. Stinky Ethan, guess what I got? 1350? Ethan squinted and smiled. Grace froze, asking in shock. How did you know? Oh, just a random guess. Didn't think I'd get it right. Ethan said calmly. Grace tilted her head, looking suspicious. Really? You can guess that accurately? Ethan put on a mystical look. Please call me Master Ford. Thank you. TCH, Master Big Head Ghost. Grace rolled her eyes at him. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. Who is it? Ethan went to open it. Outside stood 3 somewhat familiar people. Ethan paused. Wasn't this the female reporter, Natalie Young, who interviewed him before? Student Ethan, hello. We meet again. Congratulations, Ethan, on being the state valedictorian. Her assistant, Will Grant, handed over a bouquet of flowers, stuffing them into his hands. Ethan. Their news was too fast. Oh, what is this for? Ethan, today we are specifically here to interview you. You are now the pride of Illinois, a worthy top scholar. Natalie shook his hand heavily, serious. Okay, come in. Ethan smiled, welcoming them. Making connections with the media world would definitely help later. Natalie brought her assistant Will and the cameraman into the house. After a short break, the formal interview began. The interview was just questions about how he studied, how he got high scores, future plans, etc. Ethan answered calmly, speaking freely without much thought. He was used to such scenes, having been interviewed by major networks in his past life, so he had no inhibitions and knew the answers they wanted. Mostly encouraging future students to study hard, work hard, etc. Natalie's interview wasn't even over before other media reporters followed up. From a Chicago Tribune, Daily Herald, etc., Grace watched the house fill with reporters and slapped her forehead. Stinky Ethan is going to be famous. Ideally, the papers and TV news for the next 2 days would be reporting on him. Actually, every year's top scorer went through this process, a massive hype cycle. From noon until the afternoon, Ethan didn't even eat a bite, starving until he had to schedule the remaining media for another day. After dealing with the reporters, Ethan collapsed on the sofa, rubbing his head. Saying the same cam lines over and over is tiring. Grace felt tired just watching, let alone Ethan, who hadn't stopped. She naturally sat next to Ethan, massaging his temples, complaining, "If it's so tiring, why didn't you refuse them?" Refuse? Why refuse? This is a rare opportunity for self-marketing. Refusing would be a huge loss. Ethan shook his head. A self-marketing? What's that? Grace paused. Self-marketing, in other words, is self-packaging. But the word marketing implies more. Packaging plus selling your personal philosophy to the public, creating an impression. There are many benefits. Among people with equal conditions, those who market themselves successfully gain trust easier, leading to commercial success. That's why so many people give themselves titles: association president, council director, artist, etc. They stay active in media. Over time, people form an impression and trust their products and words more. Ethan tried to explain in the simplest terms. Grace seemed to understand, blurting out, "So it's like putting a tiger's skin on a scarecrow?" Sort of, but not entirely. Ethan twitched his mouth. "Hey, I don't get it anyway. As long as you think it's good. But, looks like you'll be dealing with reporters a lot these days." Grace pouted. As she spoke, she kneaded his temples, asking softly, "How is it?" "Better. Much better, Lady Grace. Your massage technique is improving daily." Ethan leaned back comfortably, enjoying Grace's soft fingers. "Ethan, if you didn't look so pitiful, I wouldn't bother," Grace said haughtily. "Yes, I am so pitiful." Ethan pretended to be pathetic, trying to burrow into Grace's arms. Grace's cheeks reddened. She pushed his head away. "Sit still. Don't move, or do it yourself." Okay, I'll sit still." "Where are your eyes looking?" "Cough. Nowhere, I didn't see anything." "Liar. I saw that lecherous look." "Nonsense. That was a look of appreciation." "Appreciation, understand? How can you slander a man's innocence?" "I'm still arguing." Pain. Grace, let go, let's talk." Grace loosened her grip slightly, looking smug. Ethan, know your mistake yet?" "Mistake? What mistake?" Ethan pulled his head from her demonic claws, arguing. "Fine, won't admit it? Watch me sort you out." Grace waved her claws and tackled Ethan onto the sofa, grabbing his cheeks and squishing his face into various funny shapes. Try arguing now. Help, help. Scream all you want. Even if you scream until your throat breaks, no one will come save you." "Throat breaks. Throat breaks. Grace." Nice try." Grace straddled Ethan and started tickling him. Creak. The door suddenly opened. Mary and Frank returned from grocery shopping. But the moment they opened the door, they froze, staring at Grace and Ethan. Frank asked in shock, "You guys are?" Mary interrupted him directly. Frank, we forgot to buy something." "Carry on, you two. We saw nothing." Saying that, Mary dragged the bewildered Frank back out. "Grace, no omega no. It's all your fault. Stinky Ethan." "Ethan, how is this my fault?" That night, to celebrate Ethan becoming the state valedictorian and Grace passing the cutoff for a top-tier university, the Ford and Miller families had a lavish dinner together. A table full of food: roast duck, roast goose, steamed chicken, steamed fish. Delicacies usually reserved for holidays were all served. George Miller raised his glass, face red with joy. "Come, let's have a toast to celebrate these two kids. Both have bright futures. Especially Ethan, state valedictorian. This is a glory we never even imagined. Cheers." Everyone raised their glasses. George saw juice in Ethan's cup and laughed. "Ethan, you're an adult now. Drop the juice. How about some liquor?" "True, Ethan. Today is happy. You could drink some hard stuff with your Uncle George." Frank laughed too, encouraging it. He wasn't an old-fashioned parent. The kid graduated, was an adult, and knowing his son was doing business, drinking and smoking were necessary skills. "All right, since everyone is happy, I'll have a few with Uncle George." Ethan stopped pretending and poured himself a generous glass of whiskey. Mary smiled, whispering, "Just get happy, don't drink too much." "Yeah, Mom, I know." Ethan smiled. George laughed heartily. "Mary, don't worry. We're celebrating, won't get drunk. Come, everyone raise your glasses for the kids. May their lives be smooth sailing." Everyone clinked glasses, the atmosphere lively. The two families drank and chatted, happier than Christmas. 3 rounds in, George asked Ethan, "Ethan, have you decided which university?" "Not yet. Filling out the forms next week. I have some time to think." Ethan replied, "Sigh, if only you and Grace could go to the same school. You've been together since elementary. If you went to the same college, that'd be great. Look after each other," George said honestly. George, Ethan is the state valedictorian. He's definitely go to Harvard or Yale. How could he be at the same school as Grace? Although Grace's scores are good, getting into the Ivies is still a bit hard. Lily Miller lamented. Hearing this, Grace smiled with disappointment, then buried her head in her food, hiding her thoughts. Ethan smiled. "Aunt Lily, Harvard and Yale are nice, but I'd rather stay in the state. Closer home, so I can come back for dinner on weekends, see Mom and Dad." Lily looked happy. Ethan really is filial. Mary beamed. "Ethan has grown up. I can't control him much. He decides, we support." Frank nodded in agreement. "Yeah, Ethan makes the call." In this moment, the families reached a tacit understanding. No words needed. Whether Ethan chose the East Coast or stayed local, they supported him. The meal lasted over 2 hours. George was very happy, constantly clinking glasses with Ethan. He thought Ethan would get drunk, but instead, George got wasted by Ethan, ending up slumped on the table mumbling about sleep. Ethan, having drunk over a pint of liquor, was tipsy but clear-headed. Honestly, getting drunk drinking with Ethan? Lily laughed, exasperated. "Grace, give me a hand. Let's carry your dad back to sleep." Grace was about to stand when Ethan stopped her. "I got it. I'll take Uncle George back." "Ethan, can you? You drank a lot too." Grace eyed him up and down. "How can a man say he can't?" Ethan patted his chest. Ethan helped George up and walked toward the Miller home next door. Lily and Grace followed, ready to help. Ethan successfully deposited George in his room. Lily busied herself taking care of him. Honestly, throwing shoes everywhere every time. "Look at you. Vomit on your collar. Filthy. Drink, drink. Told you to drink less. Never listen." Lily nagged, but gently wiped his face and neck. Standing at the door, Ethan and Grace watched, listening to Lily's nagging, and smiled simultaneously. Although Lily nagged, her love for George was in every action. Perhaps this was ordinary love. Enviable love. Ethan suddenly felt the alcohol hit him. The aftershock kicked in. "Can't make it. I need to rest." Ethan stumbled out, naturally walking into Grace's room and lying down. Grace followed, hands on hips, angry. "Stinky Ethan, jerk, you're in my bed again." "Hey, Lady Grace, don't be so stingy. Let me rest just a bit." Ethan lay there, refusing to get up, playing the rogue. Grace was annoyed and amused, but helpless against a drunk Ethan. "Damn it, you're washing the sheets tomorrow." Grace pouted. "Okay, no problem. Wash them for a lifetime," Ethan said shamelessly. Grace's face flushed. She glared at him. "Humph. Who asked you to wash them for a lifetime? Narcissist." Grace turned to leave, planning to get Ethan warm water. Every time Ethan got drunk, he needed warm water. It was a habit. As Ethan said, rehydrate to protect the stomach and prevent dehydration. In the living room, Lily came out to get hot water. Seeing Grace, she whispered, "Grace, is Ethan in your room?" "Yeah, he drank too much. Hog in my bed." Grace puffed out her cheeks. Lily covered her mouth, laughing, then hesitated before asking, "Grace, although you guys are adults, some things need attention. Safety first." "Huh? What? What things?" Grace was confused, not understanding Lily's riddle. "Oh, don't be like that. Ethan told me. Mom isn't ancient. Don't worry, I'm open-minded." Lily smiled, looking like I know everything. Grace was even more confused. "What does Mom know?" Lily thought Grace was shy. She wanted to give some adult education. Grace, protection. Remember to use protection. Safety first. Grace. Protection. Raincoat. Oh, Mom, I get it." Lily looked relieved. Daughter finally understands. "Don't worry. If it rains tomorrow, we'll take raincoats." "Very safe," Grace said obediently. Lily. Ethan fell asleep in Grace's bed after getting drunk, unaware of how long he slept. He woke up naturally to find it raining lightly outside. Judging by the light, it must be late. Ethan muttered, rubbing his throbbing head. He sat up and checked the wall clock, 11:00 a.m. "Damn, slept so long. No wonder I woke up once in the middle. Must have been 2 sleeps." Ethan talked to himself, shaking his head to clear the fog. Grace's bed was just too comfortable. He got up and left the room, finding Grace lounging on the sofa in shorts and a white t-shirt, her long legs very eye-catching. "Morning, Grace." Ethan laughed dryly. "Morning? Still morning? It's almost noon, and you hogged my bed last night. What do you have to say? Made me sleep on the sofa all night." Grace bared her teeth, huffing. Ethan scratched his head, smiling. Hey, what can I say? Didn't hog your body, just the bed. Otherwise, I'll take a loss and offer myself to you. How about it? Grace rolled her eyes, disgusted. Fu wants your body. Sell it by the pound, and you wouldn't get $1. Hey, Grace, don't underestimate me. Small build, big energy. Ethan flexed his right arm, showing a pathetic amount of muscle. Grace laughed, mocking. Okay, Ethan, put that little muscle away. Ethan looked embarrassed and quickly changed the subject. Grace, any breakfast? I am starving. Mom made you meat porridge and left boiled eggs. I only got plain oatmeal and pickles this morning. Grace pouted, very opinionated about her mother's favoritism. Mom, I'm your biological daughter. Why treat Stinky Ethan so well? Ethan chuckled. Aunt Lily treats me so well. Thanks. Ethan hummed a tune and went to the kitchen. After breakfast, Ethan found many missed calls from unknown numbers. Probably media spreading his number. Ethan, what's the plan for the next few days? Work at the shop then. Interviews. You really are busy. Why ask? Want a date? Heh, date you to judo practice. Pass. I want to live a few more years. 5 days flew by. Besides fixing computers and selecting a company location, Ethan was at home accepting interviews. 5 straight days of interviews, then it finally quieted down. But Ethan's name was in every paper. Even the state news ran his segment twice. The name Ethan Ford, state valedictorian, was unparalleled for a short time. On the local forums, the Oyster Brother thread was pinned by mods. Netizens flooded it with comments, realizing the tech genius and the scholar were the same person. The thread became the year's biggest plot twist, a topic of conversation for everyone. This series of news reports served as free advertising for Ethan's computer shop. Business boomed, the online store launched its new version, and sales expanded. Ethan's career was on track, but the talent gap was becoming obvious. Relying on himself to fix computers was getting impossible. He needed to expand the team, create a structure, and free himself from menial tasks. That Sunday, Ethan contacted Professor Hall from the Tech University Placement Office, inviting him to dinner. Professor Hall was delighted, but insisted Ethan come to his house for a home-cooked meal instead. Ethan relaxed hearing this. Being invited home meant basic trust. He agreed, scheduling for 6 p.m. At 6 p.m., Ethan took a cab to Hall's residential complex, carrying gifts. He knocked on the door. Who is it? A middle-aged woman's voice. Auntie, hello, it's Ethan. Oh, wait a second, coming. Footsteps. The door opened to reveal a gentle, middle-aged woman in an apron. You must be Ethan, the state valedictorian. A handsome young man. The woman smiled warmly. Cool mean. Ethan was humble. Oh, you flatter me. Just a bit of luck. A small gift for you, please accept it. You came, why bring gifts? Honestly, no need. How can a student visit a teacher without a gift? My parents would kill me. Ethan smiled. Besides, you're an elder. Please keep it. With a few words, Ethan solidified the relationship as student-teacher family, making it closer. The woman smiled more kindly. All right, I'll take it. Honey, Ethan is here. She shouted toward the back room. Professor Hall came out, seeing Ethan. Come, Ethan. Didn't you want to try my coffee? Let's go to the study first. We'll eat when dinner is ready. I've been thinking about your coffee beans for a while. I accept. Ethan laughed. You two go have coffee. I'll cook and call you. The woman said happily, looking at Ethan with appreciation. Thank you for your trouble. Ethan nodded, then followed Hall. Opening the door, he found a spacious study, decorated with classic wood furniture. The desk was solid oak, looking majestic. Hall was just a salaried university employee. Using such furniture meant he had other means. Come, seat. Today try my private reserve Kona coffee. I got these beans on a trip to Hawaii a couple of years ago. Direct from the estate, special reserve. Ordinary people don't get this. Hall greeted, pulling a bag of whole beans from a jar. Ethan smiled, analyzing the meaning. Ordinary people might miss it, but Ethan knew business riddles. This old fox was subtly bragging about his connections. Special reserve meant he knew people. Dealing with this old fox required care. Professor Hall really has wide connections. Getting special reserve stuff, impressive. Ethan flattered him, then took out a pack of Marlboros, offering one. Ethan lit it for him with both hands. Hall puffed, patting Ethan's hand gently to acknowledge the gesture. I'm just an old man. Nothing impressive. But you, Ethan, state valedictorian. Limitless future. From the first time I saw you, I felt you would amaze the world. Your potential is endless. Hall praised. Ethan lit his own cigarette, blowing a smoke ring. Professor Hall, titles are just vanity. I have a lot to learn from you. Hall smiled, appreciating Ethan more. This young man had a great personality. Not arrogant, not rash. Someone who could do big things. Working with smart people was best. If a partner is a pig, you lose money. If a partner is talent, you click instantly. He poured coffee beans into a grinder. The mechanical were filling the room, then prepared the French press. You have a good heart. If you need help, come find me. I'm older, but if I can help, I will. Hall squinted at Ethan. This meant, tell me what you want. Ethan took a sip of the coffee, rich and aromatic. He paused and smiled. Professor Hall, to be honest, I have run into some difficulties. You know, I opened a computer repair shop. Business is good, but I'm the only one doing the work. To expand, I need people. Talent. But repair talent is scarce in the market. I thought about it, and only you can help me with ideas. Hall had guessed this. They talked on the phone. Previously, Sal Higgins treated them to dinner to discuss this. Sal wanted Ethan's tech and Hall students to make a chain. Hall thought it was feasible then. But after that dinner, he knew Ethan and Sal would split. Incompatible goals. So he avoided Sal recently. He preferred Ethan. Young, skilled, smooth, mature. Better than Sal. Didn't expect Ethan to have a business booming so soon after graduation. Worrying about finding staff. A happy problem. It's graduation season. This problem isn't too hard. Hall poured more coffee, leaving the sentence hanging. Meaning, it's not hard, but what's the offer? He wanted Ethan to speak. Old fox. Ethan thought. But he had a plan. If Hall got greedy, Ethan would walk. Ethan paused, handing another cigarette. If you can help, that's great. I believe this isn't hard for you. We are businessmen. If the professor has an idea, I must thank you properly. Ethan pulled a paper from his bag and handed it to Hall. Hall read it, looked surprised, then calm. He thought for a moment, put the paper down, and shook his head with a bitter smile. Ethan, isn't this too generous? This is your proposal. He was shocked. Ethan smiled. His offer exceeded Hall's expectations. The old fox was smart enough not to get greedy. Yes, my proposal. Ethan nodded. 10% of salary is already a lot, but you want to give me a long-term commission on the business profit? Hall asked, stunned. Ethan stood up and bowed slightly. Professor, I do business for the long haul. No one-off deals. Relationships are the same. Steady stream, go far. I respect you as an elder. This condition isn't too high. Ethan sounded noble, but in reality, he wanted to bind Hall with long-term interest. Only deep profit binding put them in the same boat. Specifically, tying Hall to his pirate ship. This was Ethan's tactic. A conspiracy in the open. Ethan drank his coffee, watching Hall. Hall tapped the table, considering. He understood. Agreeing meant their interests were tied. Hall stopped tapping, refilled Ethan's cup, and laughed. Ethan, you really have heart. Come, I'll toast you with coffee instead of wine. In the future, we must communicate more. I believe with our joint effort, we can overcome difficulties. Ethan felt settled. Steady. The old fox agreed. He suppressed his joy and clinked cups. Professor is right. Communicate more. I will come for advice often. Don't get annoyed with me. Huh. Hall squinted, smiling. Never. I'd be happy to. Here to your booming business. I'll take your blessing. Ethan smiled, downing the coffee. Good coffee, truly good coffee, huh? Ethan laughed. He meant the deal was good. If you like it, come drink it often. Hall laughed. Definitely. They discussed recruiting details. Ethan understood the mechanism. The placement office guides graduates. They can sign agreements with companies to funnel specific majors. Hall held the decision power. Hall told Ethan to prepare West Ford Technologies' paperwork to sign a cooperation agreement with the university. Then Hall would tilt student resources to him. Ethan nodded. Teacher, I'll send the materials tomorrow. The rest is up to you. Hall smiled. No problem. Get the venue ready. Ethan thought. 3 days. I have a location. I need 3 days to set up the office. Good. I await your news. When we open, don't forget to notify me. How could I forget you? You'll be the first call. They chatted about life until Hall's wife, Elena, called out. Dinner's ready. Coming. Hall stood up. Ethan, please. I have a bottle of Blue Label I saved. Let's drink. Ethan stood. I'll join you. They went to the dining table. Where is Hannah? Not back yet. Hall frowned. Sigh, probably out wilding. Called at noon, said she wasn't eating here. Elena seguid, helpless. That damn girl. Never gives me peace. Hall was angry. Ethan watched silently. Hall's family business. Honey, we have a guest. Elena reminded him. Hall looked at Ethan, smiling bitterly. Made you laugh. My daughter angers me to death. Ethan smiled. Young people love to play. It's nature. Hall shook his head. If she had half your sense, I'd be satisfied. Grades are average, no ambition, plays all day. Won't listen. I'm too soft-hearted. Wanted to hit her, held back. She'll be the death of me. Hall complained. Ethan just listened. Forget her. Ethan, come, let's drink. Hall poured. Cheers. During the meal, Ethan shifted the topic to Elena's cooking, praising it to the heavens. Elena covered her mouth in joy. The atmosphere returned to normal. They ate for 2 hours. Ethan and Hall finished the bottle, tipsy but happy. After dinner, Elena cleaned up. Ethan and Hall smoked and chatted. Ethan, filling out choices soon. Where's the state valedictorian going? If you go to Harvard or MIT, that's far. Considered Illinois Tech? We are a top-tier school too. Hall asked. He wanted the valedictorian. Huge merit for him. Ethan was direct. I have a target. Maybe Illinois Tech, maybe U Chicago. Depends on Grace. Hall was stunned, then regretted. I see. Since you have a target, I won't say more. Good schools. Computer science is strong there. They chatted more. Ethan checked the time. 10 p.m. He left. Hall and Elena walked him downstairs. Old Hall. Ethan is going to be something. I've seen many students. He is the most steady and sharp. Elena Price said. If only he was my student. State valedictorian. 1 per year. Schools fight for him. With that title, his future is limitless. Hall sighed, then looked at his wife. Do you know what he's doing now? Fixing computers? That's just the start. He registered a company. Today was about talent reserves. His goal is a chain across Chicago, maybe the Midwest. His ambition is huge. Hall admired, and he hinted his shop's monthly gross profit might be over $100,000. Internet wealth myths might replay on him. Internet money was exploding. He felt the online sales model might be the future. Elena covered her mouth. Gasps. Over $100,000 a month? Really? Hall shrugged. Probably close. Such a young man has left his peers in the dust. Ethan got home at 11 p.m. Washed up, turned on the computer to check server backends. 361 PC Safety Manager downloads were increasing daily. It needed optimization or the server would crash. He logged on to IceQ. Grace's avatar, Aqua Girl, was lit up. Aqua Girl, hello Lil G? Not online yet. I'm messing around. Ethan was surprised. She wasn't asleep. Ford, I'm back. Why are you up? Pause. Aqua Girl, insomnia. Researching schools. Ethan asked. Picked a school and major? Aqua Girl, nope. Struggling. Ford, indecisive. Aqua Girl, you're sick. I call it careful consideration. Careful, get it? Ford, okay, tell me when you decide. Aqua Girl, why tell you? If I won't. Want to meet offline. If you saw me, you'd be scared. Grace smiled at the screen, eyes mischievous. Ethan, I'm in the dark. You're in the light. Watch me tease you, gagaga. Ford, true. From the chat, I can guess. You must be a burly, 5-foot wide girl. Seeing you might scare me. Grace glared, nearly spitting blood. Damn. Stinky Ethan. Call me burly. I'm beautiful. Aqua Girl. I am not burly. I am as beautiful as a fairy. Okay. Grace huffed proudly. Ford, don't believe it. Send a photo. Ethan chuckled. Little girl, fighting me? Aqua Girl. No photo. Wouldn't show you anyway. Bye. Grace went offline, fuming. Why is he so annoying? But he doesn't know it's me, right? Ethan saw her go gray and snickered. Grace, trying to prank me. DDD. New message. Northbound. God Ford. Evening. When is 361 updating? I have an idea. Virus library plan. Collect attack data from users. Get virus signatures. Update other devices via server to prevent spread. What do you think? Ethan paused. This guy guessed his next move. Northbound was a netizen he met. A coding expert. They discussed security and the future often. He called Ethan Godford. Ford, you guessed it. That's the next step. But it takes time. Northbound. You can find a tech company to co-develop. This app will be phenomenal. Potential to be the domestic OKTA. Ethan typed. Which company can handle it? Northbound. Arctic Systems. To be honest, I work at Arctic. If we develop 361 together, we can saturate the web fast. Ethan's eyes widened. This guy was from Arctic Systems. Right now, Arctic was small, bleeding money. Founder Matt Thorne wanted to sell it. This was the time to contact them. Future giant. If he could acquire Arctic. Ethan's eyes flashed with excitement. Holy crap. If I get this, I'm set. Ethan calmed down. Northbound must be high level. Zach Bell maybe. He wanted 361 for the security market. Ethan wouldn't give the project away. He would build his own team. PC security was essential like air, but he wanted to invest in Arctic. Control it. Can't miss this. Ethan typed, co-development. Interesting proposal. Worth considering. Northbound. Really? You'll consider. I want to meet you to chat. Just dinner. An honor to meet God Ford. Ethan smiled. Sure. You guys are in San Jose, right? I'm in Chicago. Northbound, yes. San Jose. I'll fly out to see you. Next weekend. Ethan gave his number. Northbound promised to come. They chatted tech, then Ethan logged off. Meanwhile, late night. San Jose, Tech Park. Arctic Systems. Zach Bell rushed into the office. Huh, Matt, good news. Matt Thorne looked up. What is it? The 361 god agreed to meet. Next weekend. He said he'd consider co-development. Zach was ecstatic. This was a turning point. If they got 361, it could bring revenue. Matt slammed the table. Good. Next Sunday. I'll go with you. Let's meet this Ford. Buy a building? Build a building? Ethan, that's going to cost a fortune. At least a few million, right? Wayne Tank, Turner took the cigarette. His expression, one of pure shock. Ethan Ford rolled his eyes at him and laughed. A few million? What are you dreaming about? At least $10 million. If I want a decent high-rise, we're talking 20 or 30 million, easy. Hearing those numbers, Tank was so startled he dropped his cigarette. What? That much money? Maybe we shouldn't buy it. That kind of cash is enough for us to live like kings for 10 lifetimes. Tank shook his head, chuckling nervously. Ethan patted him on the shoulder, smiling. Right now, to us, it seems like an unimaginable amount. But I believe that in the future, 10 or 20 million will just be pocket change for us. Ethan, you're the man. Tank said with immense admiration. He admired Ethan's talent and ambition more than anything. For Tank, earning a few $100,000 was the most luxurious dream he'd ever had. But he felt that Ethan never thought small. It seemed that millions, or even tens of millions, were just small figures in Ethan's eyes. Ethan turned to Henry Payne. Henry, once the office location is settled, the cyber cafe business you're in charge of needs to launch. Start with site selection, then recruit staff simultaneously. Survey the locations yourself first, using my research methods. Then give me a list of potential addresses. I'll handle the computer equipment. I've already drafted the recruitment ads, hiring protocols, and daily management regulations. I'll send them to you later. You just need to familiarize yourself with them and execute accordingly. Also, I have a management guide. I'll give a copy to both you and Tank. Read it thoroughly, memorize it, and apply it to your daily management. As long as you learn it and integrate it, managing a department or a business unit won't be a problem. And if there's anything you don't understand, I'm here. You can ask me anytime. Henry took notes in his notebook and nodded. Yes, Ethan, I understand. I'll work hard. Tank also nodded solemnly. Ethan, don't worry. Although we're starting from the bottom and don't know much yet, and have a lot to learn, we aren't afraid of difficulties, and we're definitely not afraid of learning. Ethan smiled with relief. The scariest thing wasn't not knowing, but being unwilling to learn and grow. What comforted him was that both Henry and Tank were willing and eager to learn. Tank, in particular, was improving rapidly. He was completely different from the goofy big guy he used to be. It was as if he were a new person, smarter, more thoughtful, and better at navigating social situations. This was the power of progress. Henry was introverted and not good at dealing with people, but his learning ability and execution were superb. He didn't know sales, but he had memorized the entire sales script overnight. When customers asked questions, he could respond using the script fluently, which had really shocked Ethan at the time. Although these two weren't top-tier management talent yet, Ethan was very optimistic about them. One day, they would become top-notch CEOs. After assigning the remaining tasks to them, Ethan's next most important job was recruitment, expanding the team and filling the department quotas. 2 days later, Professor Hall came through, arranging a dedicated recruitment fair for Ethan at the university placement office. Because the salary and benefits Ethan offered were higher than the market average, the graduating seniors were eager to sign up. More than 200 people attended the interviews on the first day alone. The single-company recruitment drive lasted 2 days. Ethan interviewed over 500 people and finally hired 52. Aside from 4 people for the finance department, 4 for HR, and 4 for administration, the remaining 40 consisted of 30 technicians for the computer repair department and 10 programmers specializing in different areas: UI, back-end, front-end, desktop application development, and so on. This was just the initial batch. Professor Hall would continue to funnel resources, specifically recommending outstanding graduates to Ethan. However, subsequent recruitment would be handed over to the HR department. HR would do the initial screening, and Ethan would make the final call. Only after passing Ethan's interview would they be officially hired. Ethan didn't fully trust HR's judgment yet. He always trusted his own eyes more. With the team preliminarily assembled, Ethan threw himself into busy pre-job training. Aside from the 3 service functions, the most intensive training was for the computer repair technicians and the programmers. Ethan expected that after a week of high-intensity, 12-hour daily training, these outstanding graduates from top-tier state universities would be ready to work. A degree wasn't the only reflection of personal ability, but it was a reflection of learning ability. Only with a smart enough brain and strong learning capacity could one get into a top university, making the degree an important component of personal capability. Time flew by in a blur of work, and soon it was Sunday. Early that morning, before Ethan had even woken up naturally, he was jolted awake by the vibration of his phone. Ethan rubbed his sleepy eyes, but the moment he saw the name on the caller ID, he was instantly wide awake. It was Northbound, Zach Bell, the CTO of Arctic Systems. Oh boy, finally. Calling this early in the morning meant they were anxious. Ethan smiled faintly and answered the phone. Hello. Good morning, Ethan. It's so early, I didn't disturb your sleep, did I? Ethan rubbed his eyes and laughed. No, I've been up for a while, just waiting for your call. Actually, the phone had woken him up, but to show he valued the other party, Ethan said that. Sometimes, in business dealings, you had to blend truth with a little fiction. We drove up from San Jose early this morning. Our boss at Arctic Systems, Matt Thorne, is with me. Ethan's eyes flashed. Matt Thorne, the man who would stand at the top of the internet pyramid in the future. The man who would become one of the wealthiest people in the country. He was finally going to meet him face to face, truly something to look forward to. Great. When will you arrive? Ethan suppressed his inner excitement and asked. About an hour or so. You can come directly to the Grand Monarch Hotel. Matt has already booked a private suite a day in advance. Let's have a good get-together. Ethan couldn't help but smile. Matt Thorne was really sparing no expense. The Grand Monarch was one of the few five-star hotels in the city. The consumption there wasn't low. It seemed they were very serious about the 361 PC safety manager. All right, I'll be there in about an hour, Ethan replied. After hanging up, Ethan got up, washed, and groomed himself carefully. He put on a white dress shirt and slacks, combing his hair into a mature style. He checked himself in the mirror, nodded with satisfaction, and headed out. An hour later, Zach Bell and Matt Thorne arrived at the Grand Monarch Hotel early. After parking, they waited for Ethan in the lobby. Hey, we seem to be a bit early. Should we go to the suite and rest first? Zach Bell yawned. He had driven all morning and was a bit sleepy. Matt Thorne shook his head and smiled. Let's wait here. We're here to seek cooperation. We need to show basic business etiquette and leave a good impression on this Ethan. True. All right, I'll sit over there and rest for a bit. Zach yawned again and sat on a nearby chair. About 10 minutes later, Zach checked the time. It was exactly the time he and Ethan had agreed upon. HM, why isn't he here yet? He stood up and looked towards the lobby in trance, seeing quite a few people coming and going. Matt Thorne narrowed his eyes, scanning everyone who entered. Suddenly, a figure in a white shirt caught his eye. It was a very young-looking man with slicked back hair, a crisp white shirt, and black slacks, giving off a clean, handsome, and refined vibe. Matt's eyes flashed with a sharp light, and he said calmly, That Ethan. He's here. Huh? He's here? Where? Zach Bell hurriedly looked around. Since he had never seen what Ethan looked like, he naturally couldn't recognize him. Matt Thorne gestured toward the young man in the white shirt who was walking over. If my guess is correct, that should be him. Zach followed his gaze and indeed saw the young man in the white shirt. The young man was dialing his cell phone as he walked. A moment later, Zach's own phone began to ring. Hello, Ethan? Zach answered the phone, and the two parties locked eyes. He finally confirmed that the young man in front of him was the developer of the 361 software, the legendary Ethan. But he never expected the guy to be so young. He looked about 20. Suppressing his surprise, he stepped forward enthusiastically. Good to meet you, Ethan. Zach extended his hand. Ethan shook it, looking composed. Hello, Zach. My real name is Ethan Ford. Just call me Ethan. God of Maple or whatever handles you use online feel too distant. Ethan was also sizing Zach up. He could tell at a glance that this guy was a tech geek. Round glasses, plaid shirt, the standard programmer uniform. Great. Ethan, I didn't expect you to be so young. The younger generation is truly to be feared. Zach laughed heartily, his tone sincere. He greatly admired Ethan for creating heuristic antivirus software at such a young age. In his eyes, Ethan was a genius. Let me introduce you. This is the boss of our Arctic Systems, Matt Thorne, Mr. Thorne. Ethan, don't listen to his nonsense. I'm partners with him. Technically, he's my boss. Without Zach, there would be no Arctic Systems. Matt stepped forward proactively to shake hands, carefully observing Ethan. Ethan was observing him at the same time. Glasses, square jaw, refined temperament, a bit scholarly. He didn't look like someone with a purely engineering background. This was the future tech tycoon, Matt Thorne. He was indeed somewhat handsome in his youth. However, Ethan didn't know much about his personality personally. People at this level usually had deep minds. Whether they could work together remained to be seen. Hello, Mr. Thorne. I betan. Haha, Zach mentions you often. To independently create the 361 software. You truly are a genius. Matt's eyes were full of appreciation. Zach laughed. Let's not stand here talking. Let's go to the suite, have some tea, and chat. Sound good? Ethan nodded. The three walked side by side to the upstairs suite. They took their seats. Matt proactively offered the main seat to Ethan, while he and Zach sat on either side. This surprised Ethan slightly. It seemed this Mr. Thorne wasn't arrogant. On the contrary, he was very thorough in his conduct. Makes sense. If he weren't this kind of person, he wouldn't become a tycoon in the future. Tea and pastries were served. Treating tea like wine, they started with pleasantries and small talk, mostly flattering each other. In social situations, praising the other party's strengths definitely closed the distance and improved the relationship. That was why in business, many bosses always smiled at people, engaging in polite hypocrisy. It was a naturally formed habit. As long as you spoke nicely, anyone with a bit of emotional intelligence wouldn't deliberately target or embarrass you. If you were nothing but polite and the other party still gave you a hard time, then either they were an idiot or you two had a grudge. Between Ethan and Matt's mutual flattery, the chat atmosphere was excellent. It felt like if they had a few drinks, they'd be calling each other brothers. Zach, sitting beside them, wasn't good at socializing. He spoke little, just playing a hype man and occasionally agreeing. But right now, he was very depressed. He had been chatting online with Ethan for so long and should have been a closer one. Why did these two act like long-lost brothers the moment they met? He didn't understand. He really didn't understand. After a few pots of tea and half the pastries were gone, Matt felt the atmosphere was right. It was time to talk business. Ethan, developing and operating 361 independently must be quite tough, right? It's not easy. Only a genius like you could handle it. Anyone else would probably be overwhelmed, Matt said with a smile. Ethan naturally heard the underlying meaning. Doing it alone is tiring, better to do it together. It is tiring. I have thought about finding people to work with, so the pressure isn't so high and I can relax a bit, Ethan said calmly. Matt was delighted, thinking there was a chance. His goal for this trip was to contact Ethan and convince him to work on 361 together. He had a mature technical team and massive user resources from IceQ. If they switched 361 to a paid model, it would definitely make a lot of money. The profits could then be funneled into the IceQ project to maintain its development until they secured investment. 361 PC Safety Manager improved computer protection. If they charged ordinary users a small fee, a protection fee, essentially, with so many users, that would instantly be millions of dollars. And that wasn't even counting the enterprise side. 361's future revenue model was very clear. Unlike IceQ, which provided free social services. Charging for IceQ now would be suicide, but they hadn't found a suitable profit model yet. They were burning money every day, and the funds raised previously were almost gone. If they didn't find other income soon, he didn't know if they could last until the next successful round of financing. Matt smiled. Exactly. With a mature team developing it together, you'd definitely have it much easier. Ethan, why not consider Arctic Systems? We have a ready-made, mature technical team. Just the tech side alone has over 50 people. We could develop 361 PC Safety Manager together. As for the cooperation model, everything is negotiable. Matt finally couldn't wait any longer and stated his purpose. Ethan, however, smiled and declined gently. Mr. Thorne, please let me finish. Regarding the 361 project, I did want to find people to work on it. Through my efforts, I've now assembled a technical team. Although there are only a dozen or so people, it's enough for now. By the way, we've just been chatting, and I haven't given you two my card yet. Ethan took out his new business cards and handed them to the two men. Matt took the card with a stunned expression. West Ford Technologies. Chairman. My God, Ethan. I thought you were an independent developer. I didn't expect you to be a corporate executive already. Matt was somewhat surprised, but mostly disappointed. He could tell that Ethan established the company to commercialize 361 himself. This trip might yield no results. Zach also said with regret, I thought I'd be able to work with you. Now that you're a CEO, looks like there's no chance of that. Ethan looked at the two of them. He could roughly guess what they were thinking by the look on their faces. CEO or not, I'm just an ordinary entrepreneur. Mr. Thorne, Zach, I actually know why you came. But I really do intend to build my own team for the 361 project. I don't have any thoughts of partnering with other companies on it. However, I am very interested in your Arctic Systems IceQ. There's still room for cooperation in the future. Matt's heart stirred. He heard the implication in Ethan's words and asked, "Oh, then I must ask for your advice, Ethan. How can we cooperate?" Ethan narrowed his eyes, stared at him, and asked, "I heard. Arctic Systems' recent fundraising hasn't been going very smoothly." Matt's face changed drastically, his heart shaken. How does he know? Matt's expression shifted rapidly, his heart sinking. Was there a leak inside his own company? Did Zach reveal it to him? He couldn't think of a reason, so he just asked directly, "Funding has been a bit tight lately, there are some issues." "But Ethan, how did you know?" Ethan gave a mysterious smile. "Your recent version updates have slowed down, and the product has no monetization capability. Just burning money isn't a sustainable way to operate. So, it was just a guess. I didn't expect to be right." A look of embarrassment appeared on Matt's face. He hadn't expected the company's predicament to be so obvious. Whether he guessed it or someone told him, Matt wasn't sure, but he couldn't speculate too much. "Ethan, you just said there was room for cooperation. Do you have a solution?" Zach was a straight shooter and asked Ethan for a solution immediately. He was genuinely anxious. IceQ was the lifeblood he and his team had researched and developed. He didn't want it to end without a fight. Matt shook his head secretly. He hadn't expected Zach to be so impatient. With that outburst, the delicate balance of power between him and Ethan was broken. In the subsequent conversation, his confidence would be lacking, putting him at a disadvantage. But Zach had already made the request. Matt had no choice but to say, "Zach is just too anxious. Ethan, please don't mind him." Ethan smiled. "I can understand Zach's feelings. I did say there is room for cooperation, and I do indeed have a way to help Arctic Systems get through its current difficulties." Zach looked excited and asked urgently, "What way?" Matt was also greatly intrigued, listening intently. He had originally come here to meet Ethan in hopes that the 361 project could monetize and then generate blood for Arctic Systems, a transfusion to survive the crisis. Now hearing that Ethan had a plan, he naturally wanted to hear it. Ethan held up one finger and said calmly, "First, financing. You need funding to continue expanding servers, maintain operations, and develop the product." Zach and Matt were stunned, looking at each other. What kind of solution is that? If they could get funding, they wouldn't be here. Ethan, we are indeed seeking financing. But as you know, the U.S. stock market is in the middle of the dot-com bubble burst. Everyone is panicking. The Asian financial crisis was only a year or so ago. Raising money for internet companies is extremely difficult right now. Private capital is very cautious. The current environment is bad for fundraising. Where can we get money? Matt sighed. He had spent several nights thinking about selling Arctic Systems and starting over. Ethan smiled. "Matt, since I said it, naturally I have my reasons." Matt paused, savoring the words, then suddenly exclaimed in surprise, "Don't tell me. Ethan, you can fund us?" Ethan nodded. "I can invest $150,000 in Arctic Systems." $150,000? But Matt was a bit disappointed, feeling that $150,000 wouldn't solve the problem. But his words were directly cut off by Ethan. "Matt, don't rush. Let me finish." Ethan's tone strengthened, becoming dominant, because he was now the one holding the cards. "Okay, I was impatient. Please speak, Ethan." Matt smiled bitterly, feeling like he was being handled by Ethan. "I won't just invest $150,000 in Arctic Systems. I can also help Arctic Systems achieve over $1.5 million in revenue within a year." Ethan said confidently. Matt and Zach didn't understand IceQ's profit model yet, but he did. $1 million revenue level in a year was a piece of cake. There were many ways. IceQ was currently the largest social software in the country, with registered users reaching 5 million and 100,000 real-time active users. But this year was also Arctic Systems' most difficult year, with the risk of bankruptcy looming at any moment. What? $1 million level revenue? Zach and Matt spoke in unison, equally shocked. They didn't know where Ethan's confidence came from, but looking at him, he didn't seem to be joking. There was no need to joke about this. Matt took a deep breath to calm himself down. Such conditions were incredibly tempting. The $150,000 investment wasn't much, but the $1 million revenue intrigued him more. He didn't even doubt that Ethan possessed such ability to independently develop 361 software and start a business at such a young age. He was definitely no fool. But to offer such terms, he must want something in return. Matt looked at Ethan and asked calmly, "Ethan, you're offering these conditions. You must have demands, right?" Ethan poured him a cup of tea and smiled. "Indeed. As I said, I'm very interested in Arctic Systems IceQ. I recognize its potential. After all, I use IceQ myself. My investment of $150,000 is just a stepping stone. Getting involved in Arctic Systems operations and helping build it up is my true intention. Yes, I have demands. Honest men don't speak in riddles. For the $150,000 cash investment, I want 10% equity. If within 1 year I can achieve over $5 million in revenue, I want 51% absolute controlling interest. Matt and Zach fell silent upon hearing this, each with their own thoughts. Zach had little equity to begin with, so he didn't care as much. He cared about whether IceQ could survive, generate millions in revenue, and develop. But Matt was different. He held the most equity, currently owning 40%. IDG and the telecom investors had put in money the previous year for 20% each, totaling 40%. That meant 80% was accounted for. The remaining 20% was split between Zach and 3 other co-founders. Matt drank the tea Ethan poured, not rushing to speak, thinking carefully. Investing $150,000 for 10% equity wasn't much equity to give up. For the cash-strapped Arctic Systems, this money could be a lifesaver. However, if they achieved million-dollar revenue, giving up absolute control. He couldn't make that decision alone because he didn't have absolute control himself. But he was very tempted by Ethan's million-dollar revenue promise. If they could reach that level, Arctic Systems would be revitalized. Only by surviving could they achieve victory. He understood this principle. If he refused, whether Arctic Systems could survive this year was an unknown variable. Ethan, are you really confident you can achieve over $1 million in revenue within a year? Really? I'm saying if you can't do it, do you dare to sign a valuation adjustment mechanism, a VM agreement? Ethan naturally understood what a VM agreement was, a bet between investors and founders. It was a common condition attached to venture capital. For Ethan, making a bet was perfect. Of course, Matt, we can draft a VM agreement. If I fail to achieve the $1 million revenue within 1 year, I will inject an additional $750,000 investment without taking any additional equity. If I fulfill the agreement and achieve the revenue target within the 1-year term, then I want that 51% absolute controlling interest. I can sign this agreement alongside all the shareholders of Arctic Systems. Ethan smiled, his expression calm and his tone full of confidence. Hearing that Ethan would invest another $750,000 without taking equity if he failed the bet, Matt was even more moved. If Ethan really achieved the $1 million revenue in a year, giving him 51% controlling interest wouldn't be unacceptable. Because with annual revenue in the millions, the company's valuation would reach tens of millions. By then, the value of everyone's equity would increase tenfold. Hearing this, Zach was very excited and wanted to agree to Ethan immediately. He was about to speak, but was stopped by Matt raising his hand. Matt narrowed his eyes, staring at Ethan, and smiled. Ethan's proposal is very good. However, this matter is significant. I still need to discuss it with the other shareholders. How about I give you an answer in a few days? No problem, Matt. Go back and discuss it thoroughly, Ethan said, lifting his teacup with a slight smile before draining it in one gulp. This time, it was Matt who poured tea for him. To be honest, I'm quite tempted. But you have to understand, Ethan, our company went through a round of financing before. We have 2 venture capital firms as shareholders. For this, we'll need to hold a shareholders meeting when we get back to discuss it properly. I understand. Come, Matt, Zach, let's toast with tea. Ethan squinted with a smile, raising his cup in invitation. The 3 clinked cups and drank together. Although they all had different thoughts swirling in their minds, on the surface, it was harmonious and the conversation was lively. Toward the end, Zach and Ethan even started discussing technical issues. Both were tech enthusiasts, so they chatted without barriers. However, it was mostly Ethan speaking and Zach listening intently. The more Zach listened, the more shocked he became. He was astonished by the depth and breadth of Ethan's technical knowledge. Not only did he have a deep understanding of desktop applications and computer security, but he also had insightful views on technical principles and future prospects. To have such high attainment at such a young age, no wonder he was the top scorer in the state. A genius, a monstrous genius. The morning tea turned into a lunch meeting, lasting until 2 in the afternoon before they finally called it a day. After exchanging contact information, Zach and Matt had to rush back to San Jose immediately. The 3 said their goodbyes in the parking lot. Ethan, no need to see us off. If you have time, come to San Jose, visit our company. I'll definitely host you properly. Matt said politely. By the day I get a message, Matt, I might just have a time. Ethan laughed. We'll be in touch. We're heading out now. Great chatting with you today. We'll definitely meet again in San Jose. Matt shook his hand and got into the car. See ya, Ethan. I'll message you on IceQ when I get back tonight. Zach waved from inside the car. All right, Ethan waved back. The car started and pulled out of the parking space. Ethan watched the sedan drive away, a smile curling on his lips. Arctic Systems. I will definitely secure it. In the afternoon, on his way home, Ethan received a call from his dad, Frank Ford. He said he wanted to take Mary to the park for a walk to get some fresh air, which would help her recovery. He told Ethan to figure out his own dinner or go eat at the Millers. How could outside food compare to Grace Miller's mom's cooking? Ethan decisively chose to go to the Millers. Inside the taxi, Ethan called the landline at Grace's house. After a moment, the call connected. Hello, Master Ford? Grace's crisp voice came through the phone. Hello, Princess Grace. It's me. S'il please. Stinky Ethan, spit it out if you have something to say. Don't interrupt this princess while she's watching TV. Hey, Grace Miller, how can you be like this? I'm warning you, don't be too arrogant. Stinky Ethan, you're so annoying. Hurry up and speak. Fine. Grace, I'm coming over to your house for dinner tonight. Cook an extra bowl of rice for me, yeah? If I knew it. Your parents went out to play, so you're definitely coming over to eat. My mom's already cooking your rice. She even added extra dishes. Hey, Mrs. Miller treats me the best. Stinky Ethan, your laugh is so sleazy. I can picture your face just hearing your voice. Grace Miller, don't be obsessed with me. I'm just a legend. If you insist on being obsessed, I can reluctantly lend you my solid shoulder to lean on. Grace. Stinky Ethan, I have one word for you, Scram. Beep, beep, beep. Listening to the busy tone on the phone, Ethan smiled. As soon as he arrived at the Miller house, Ethan saw Lily Miller and Grace snapping vegetables in the living room. Hi, Mrs. Miller. Ethan greeted Lily with a smile. Ethan's back. You're eating here tonight, right? I added some dishes. I bought half a pound of pork belly to make braised pork for you to taste. Lily greeted him happily. Awesome, thanks, Mrs. Miller. Let me help you snap the beans, Andy. You can go busy yourself with other things. Leave this to us, Ethan said. All right then, you two handle this nicely. I'll go get the meat braising. Lily stood up, wiped her hands, and turned into the kitchen. Grace narrowed her eyes at Ethan, huffed, and asked, Oh my, Master Ford, when did you become so diligent? I've always been diligent, okay? Ethan sat down with a grin, right next to Grace. I never saw you volunteer to snap beans before. Are you just trying to butter up my mom? Grace saw right through his little scheme. Ethan didn't hide it, admitting openly, Yeah, got a problem with that? It's no wonder my mom is so biased toward you. Master Ford, you're so manipulative. Thanks for the compliment. I am honored. Your face is so thick a shotgun couldn't blast through it. That's safe then. No one can sneak attack me. Grace huffed proudly. Too lazy to deal with you. Ethan chuckled and helped snap the beans. Suddenly, he noticed a green cabbage worm under a leaf. Its tiny body was wriggling on the leaf, looking quite disgusting. Ethan's eyes rolled. If he suddenly threw the worm on Grace, would she jump up in fright and hug him tight? Action followed thought. Ethan secretly hid the worm in his hand. Grace, you. Ethan stared intently at her beautiful face, acting as if he had discovered something strange on it. Grace rolled her eyes at him. Stinky Ethan, what do you want? I want to do something serious. What? What is it? What's wrong with my face? Grace touched her face, finding nothing unusual. Hey, there seems to be a black speck on your face. I don't know what it is. Don't move. I'll wipe it off for you. Ethan reached out his right hand, leaning in to touch her cheek. For a moment, their faces were only a fist's distance apart, close enough to feel each other's breath. Grace's cheeks flushed, her heartbeat accelerating, but she kept her body still. Ethan wiped her face with his finger, feeling her skin was smooth and tender, like soft tofu. Grace's skin was really nice. He didn't know how she maintained it. Was it natural beauty? Thinking this, he pulled back. Okay, it's gone. Probably just a bit of dirt. Grace turned her head away, looking a bit flustered. Oh, thanks. Ethan chuckled mischievously. You're welcome. He glanced at the cabbage worm hanging on Grace's shoulder, which he had placed there during the distraction. Oh my God. Grace, there's a caterpillar on you. So gross. Look quick. Ethan feigned shock, then stood up, opening his arms, waiting for Grace to dive into his embrace. Grace looked down but suddenly laughed. Wahaha, what a cute caterpillar. Stinky Ethan, if I pluck its head off, do you think it can still move? Ethan, Grace picked up the small cabbage worm from her shoulder with her fingers, letting it dangle in the air. Stinky Ethan, look, its body is still wriggling in the air. So cute. Don't you think it's cute? Ethan twitched the corner of his mouth. Cough, right? I fail to see where it's cute. Look at its long, slender body. It moves too, just a bit short on fur. What do you think it likes to do most? Being that long, maybe it likes drilling into holes. Liar. How can a cabbage worm drill holes? Who says it can't? It probably likes warm, damp holes. Nonsense. Grace didn't believe his BS at all. She placed the worm on the table and watched it crawl. Right now, she looked like a child who had discovered a new toy, staring intently as she observed it crawl. It really is so cute. How about letting it go? Ethan asked. It's so cute. Of course, I have to experiment on it. Does it rely on its head to tell direction? If its head gets cut off, can it still crawl? Grace asked like a curious baby. How would I know? I've never tried. Ethan's mouth twitched again. Grace Miller. Truly not your average girl. Too damn hardcore. Then I'll try it. As soon as the words fell, the gleam of a fruit knife flashed. The cabbage worm's head hit the table, a true clean cut. The worm's corpse lay motionless on the tabletop. Grace sighed, sounding rather disappointed. Turns out if you chop its head off, it can't live either. Isn't that obvious? What can live without a head? Ethan felt a chill on his neck and shrank back slightly. Grace disposed of the corpse expressionlessly, then brought the fruit knife up to her eyes to examine it. This knife is a bit dull. I need to sharpen it. What do you think? Seeing Grace's eerie gaze, Ethan swallowed hard. Cough, cough. You're right. Huh. Look at you, you're terrified. I'm dying of laughter. Grace suddenly burst into laughter, her voice full of mockery. Ethan, I'm gonna wash the knife. You finish snapping the beans yourself. Grace patted his shoulder and got up to leave, looking triumphant. Ethan rubbed his nose. This girl, he really surrendered to her. To prevent her from harming humanity in the future, it seemed he had to be merciful and take her off the market himself. Night fell. Ethan had dinner at the Millers and helped Grace clean up the dishes and sweep the floor. After the chores, the two returned to the bedroom as usual. Grace was reading a novel. Ethan sat leaning against her headboard, flipping through a fashion magazine Grace had bought. Grace, you read this stuff? Ethan flipped to a page showing a very sexy woman in a slip dress to show her. Grace's cheeks reddened. She put down her novel, crawled onto the bed, and snatched the magazine from Ethan's hand. What about it? Am I not allowed to pursue fashion? Grace asked defensively. Of course you are, but I think a JK uniform would suit you better. Ethan laughed mischievously. In his mind, he had already pictured Grace wearing a JK uniform countless times. That image, simply breathtakingly beautiful. Grace was tall for a Southern girl. Thanks to eating well as a child, her skin was fair and tender, looking like water would drip out if you pinched it. Add to that her exquisitely cute oval face, like a masterpiece carefully carved by God. Just a few glances could make one's heart flutter. It was precisely because of this outstanding appearance that she was the undisputed top beauty at Oak Creek High School. The line of people crushing on her could circle the track several times. How would such a beautiful, youthful girl not wear a JK uniform? JK? What is JK? Grace asked with a confused look. It's a type of clothing style. You don't know it now, but you'll understand later. Ethan laughed, licking his lips. Ew, why do I feel like you're being a bit creepy? Grace looked at him with disgust. The look in stinky Ethan's eyes just now. She really wanted to flick his forehead. She thought that, but deep down, she felt a little inexplicably proud. Absolutely not. My gaze upon you has always been one of appreciation. Appreciation, understand? Like the gaze when you go to an art exhibition and look at those artworks. Ethan resolutely denied being creepy. You just know how to argue. Grace huffed arrogantly. Ethan noticed the novel she had just been reading. It was a wuxia martial arts novel. Grace, you really love martial arts novels, huh? Yeah, I don't feel anything for romance novels. Those cheesy stories are always lovey-dovey or tragic back and forth, loving each other to death. Too melodramatic. I like reading martial arts novels. Walking the world with a sword. How cool is that? Drawing your blade to help when you see injustice. The classic novels are written so well. Maybe I can figure out a few moves, so I won't be afraid if I meet bad guys later. Grace struck a sword-drawing pose, looking valiant. I reckon the bad guys should be afraid of you. Average people probably can't even get near you. Ethan teased. Grace patted his shoulder. Don't envy this lady. If you want to learn, I can teach you. She narrowed her eyes, plotting some mischief in her heart. Me? What would a big man like me learn that for? Do I need it? Ethan rolled his eyes at her. Grace said with serious solemnity. How can you not need it? Think about it. You look so fair and tender. What if you meet some female hooligans on the road? Boys, when they go out, need to protect themselves too. Don't worry, I'll teach you a few moves of male self-defense, special judo techniques. I guarantee if you meet a female hooligan, you'll be able to defeat the enemy. Itang, ue, kaomoji, rinku. Actually, if I meet a female hooligan, I could just lie down and surrender. At worst, I'll sacrifice my looks to save my life. Whack! Grace raised her hand and flicked his forehead. Stinky Ethan, I'll give you one chance to rephrase that. Ethan clutched his head, yelping in pain, sucking in a cold breath. I will definitely resist to the end, preserving my innocence, unyielding unto death. Grace finally showed a satisfied expression, patting his shoulder. That's more like it. That's acting like a man. Don't worry. I'll teach you a few good moves. Guaranteed to work. And no charge. Ethan looked at her warily, an ominous feeling rising in his heart. Grace, I've thought about it. Maybe we shouldn't. Shouldn't? How can we not? Can a man say no? Master Ford, don't act like a wimp. These arms and legs of mine, I'm afraid they can't take it. I think you're just weak. Do you need me to feed you some vitamins? You're the weak one. Just wait. Let me go to the bathroom first. Ethan darted off the bed and pulled open the door to leave, but was suddenly grabbed by the back of his collar. Don't even think about running. Let's go back in the room. Grace dragged Ethan back into the room by his collar with one hand. Ethan, he didn't expect his bathroom escape tactic to be seen through. Ethan was dragged back onto the bed. Grace was rolling her neck, warming up. Grace, what do you want to do? I'm going to scream if you do this. I'm warning you, don't insult my will. If you want to insult something, insult my body. Ethan grabbed his clothes, wearing a look of tragic heroism. Grace rolled her eyes at him. I'm not interested in your body at all. I'm trying to teach you male self-defense, get it? Do we have to? Can I not learn? Ethan's mouth twitched. Grace said without hesitation, no. Fine, but disclaimer first. No high difficulty moves for me, Ethan said with a bitter smile and a shake of his head. He knew if he didn't agree to this, he wouldn't get past her. Don't worry. There won't be any high difficulty moves. Grace smiled, her eyes curving into cute crescents. But seeing that smile, Ethan knew this girl absolutely had no good intentions. Stand up. Stand on the bed. There isn't enough room on the floor, so we'll practice on the bed. Grace pulled Ethan up. I'll teach you a frontal move first. If someone grabs your collar, you need to break free quickly and subdue them. I'll demonstrate once. You grab my shirt. Grace placed his hand on the collar above her chest. Ethan blushed. Grace's shirt collar felt a bit loose. If he pulled like this. Isn't this inappropriate? Ethan said that, but inside, he was a little eager. What's inappropriate? Just do it when I tell you. Grace glared at him. All right, I'm pulling then. Ethan grabbed her shirt with his right hand and pulled her collar open slightly. Oh. When you stare into the abyss stares back at you. Ethan glanced down and instantly felt a bit dizzy. But in the next moment, Grace clamped down on his hand with one hand, pressing it down while locking the joint, tripped his leg, and executed a shoulder throw, slamming Ethan down and pinning him under her. The whole movement was fluid and smooth, done in one breath. But Ethan didn't pay attention to her movements at all, nor could he see them clearly. He only felt like he was flying, then crashing down, and then being pinned. But totally worth it. How was that? Did you learn it? Master Ford? Grace asked triumphantly while pinning him. Ethan was giggling foolishly, not listening to a word she said. What are you giggling at? Grace looked down and froze. Oh my God, Ethan, why is your nose bleeding? Grace initially thought she had slammed him too hard and caused the nosebleed. She panicked a little and quickly let go of him. Only then did Ethan feel his nose was warm. He touched it. Crap, am I that pathetic? A nosebleed just from that. If later on, we do the deed, will I explode and die? Are you okay? Grace helped him up and hurriedly pulled out 2 tissues to hand to him. Ethan wiped his nose with the tissue. Bright red. Cough, cough. I'm fine. Maybe the weather is too hot. Just a bit of internal heat, Ethan said awkwardly, blushing. Really? Grace asked suspiciously. Really? Ethan nodded heavily. Grace sat on the bed and said helplessly, all right, go drink some herbal tea later to cool down. We'll practice again tomorrow. Stinky Ethan, seeing that your nose is bleeding, I'll let you off the hook today. Another day, I'll definitely drill you hard. Don't. We agreed you'd teach me a few moves today. How can we give up halfway over a small thing? Giving up halfway is not Ethan Ford style. Master Ford, since when is your awareness so high? Grace was slightly surprised. Ethan stood up, chest out, radiating an aura of righteousness. My generation's awareness needs to be this high. Otherwise, How can we save the world later? Actually, he was thinking, if we don't do it again, how can I see the abyss again? Grace stood up too, giving him a weird look. Really want to continue? Really? Ethan nodded without hesitation. The corner of Grace's mouth curled into a smug smile. Stinky Ethan, since you're asking for abuse, don't blame me. Ga. Then let's do it again. You continue to grab my collar. I'll move slower this time. Make sure you see clearly. I will definitely look very hard. Good, get ready then. Grace said seriously. Then she placed Ethan's hand on her collar again, a sly look flashing in her eyes. Stinky Ethan, watch me drill you good. Wham! In the blink of an eye, Grace threw Ethan onto the bed again, pinning him until he howled. Again! Grace, go easy. In the living room, Lily Miller brought out a basket of apples and placed them on the coffee table. What are those two kids doing in the room? Why do they hide in there as soon as they finish eating? Lily looked suspiciously at Grace's bedroom door. Probably playing computer games in there. I'll let them be. Young people have their own opinions and ideas. We're old. We can't control so much. George Miller laughed, shaking his head and continuing to read his newspaper. Lily picked up an apple and started peeling it, smiling. Honestly, it's good that Grace and Ethan get along. Saves us a lot of worry. Those two grew up together. Their personalities complement each other. It's almost like a match made in heaven, haha. George put down the newspaper and shook his head. I asked Grace just 2 days ago if she was dating Ethan. Grace said no very firmly. I think we misunderstood them. Ah, then what about last time? Lily paused. Yeah, anyway, they aren't dating. Last time, the bedsheet was just dirty because of Ethan, and Grace made him take it back to wash. George smiled helplessly. Oh, is that so? That's a pity. Lily realized last time was a misunderstanding, her eyes unable to hide her disappointment. George took a sip of tea. Maybe because these two grew up together, they are too familiar with each other. Maybe there's no spark because of that. Think about it. Isn't dating all about that first-sight destiny? You need that heart-pounding feeling. They stay together all day. If there were feelings, they would have happened long ago. Using a trendy term, there's no chemistry. Lily smiled bitterly. True, feelings can't be forced. Still have to leave it to fate. As the two were chatting, a loud thud suddenly came from Grace's room, followed by a crashing sound, complete chaos. Lily looked surprised. HM? What are they doing in there? Trying to demolish the house. I'll go check. Lily walked to Grace's bedroom door. As soon as she got close, she heard strange noises coming from inside. Thump, thump, smack. Ouch. Grace, easy. You have to use force. This is practice, not a real fight. Lily paused. What were these two kids doing? She immediately opened the door. Inside, she saw Grace pinning Ethan down, sitting on his back with his hands tied behind him, almost like she was riding a horse. Mom? Grace saw her mother appear at the door and instantly froze in awkwardness. Lily's eyes went wide. Grace, why are you bullying Ethan again? Get down quickly. A girl acting like this. Honestly, Grace quickly got up and explained, Mom, let me explain. I was teaching Master Ford some male self-defense moves. We were practicing. Lily turned to look at Ethan and asked, Is that true, Ethan? Ethan groaned in pain, grimacing as he nodded. Yes, Auntie. We were practicing. Seeing Ethan in such a state, Lily turned back to scold Grace. Teach properly. Be gentle. Look how much pain Ethan is in. Grace. Okay, Mom, I know. You go rest. I'll finish teaching him soon. Grace casually brushed her off. Lily backed out, closed the door, and returned to the living room. How is it, honey? What are they doing in there? George asked curiously. Oh, Grace is teaching Ethan judo. But, looks like Ethan is suffering quite a bit. Lily laughed, shaking her head. George laughed too. When we sent her to learn judo as a kid, the intention was just so she wouldn't get bullied. Now it feels like it made her a bit too fierce. Ever since she learned judo, besides Ethan, no other boys played with her. Sometimes, I regret sending her to learn it. Lily smiled helplessly. The child is grown now, regretting it is useless. I just don't know if her future partner can handle her fierce personality. George waved his hand. The kids are grown up. Let's not manage their dating lives. Let her decide for herself. It's getting late. Let's wash up and sleep. Inside Grace's room, Ethan lay paralyzed on the bed. Forget limbs being weak. His fifth limb was weak too. He felt like every muscle and bone in his body had been disassembled. That kind of soreness was something ordinary people couldn't comprehend. Ethan regretted it now. Practice my ass. He didn't even see the abyss much. He just got treated like a punching bag. Hey, Master Ford, you still alive? Grace kicked his thigh with her foot. Grace, I learned it. Let's stop. Really, I learned it. Ethan pleaded from the bed. A few more times, and his legs would turn to jelly. He wouldn't be able to get out of bed tomorrow. Seeing him looking so pathetic, Grace secretly delighted. Satisfying. Finally satisfying. Haha. Finally punished stinky Ethan once. Got some revenge. Good that you learned. I'll test your learning results another day. Grace put her hands on her hips, acting arrogant. Ethan grimaced. Just as he tried to roll over, he suddenly felt a cramp seize his calf. Crap. Cramp. Ethan sucked in a cold breath, subconsciously grabbing his calf with both hands. He had been so busy with work lately that he hadn't had time to exercise. Now, with just a little movement, his muscles were actually cramping. Seeing this, Grace's expression changed. She quickly squatted down to help him stretch his right foot. Relax, straighten your leg. I'll help you loosen the muscle. Grace quickly kneaded the muscles of his right calf with both hands. When she used to learn judo, she cramped up often too, so she was skilled in techniques to relieve cramps. Sure enough, under Grace's rapid kneading, Ethan's right calf muscle finally stopped being tight. Ethan let out a long sigh of relief. Grace's massage technique was really good, strong enough, and her hands were tender enough. It felt really comfortable. How is it? Better, Master Ford. Yeah, better. But I feel like the muscles in my shoulders and arms are a bit sore and swollen. Did I damage them? Ethan put on a face full of worry. Grace glanced at him and sighed helplessly. Fine. I'll press them for you. Grace began to help Ethan relax his muscles. Those tender little hands pressed again and again. It was so comfortable that Ethan unknowingly started to feel sleepy. Hearing Ethan start to snore lightly, Grace's face instantly went dark. Great. This lady gives you a massage, and you get comfortable enough to fall asleep? Watch my double dragon plays with Pearl. Grace grabbed the soft flesh at his waist with both hands and pinched hard. Ow! Ethan woke up instantly. Grace, what are you doing? Trying to murder your husband? Husband, your big head. If you want to sleep, go back to your room. Grace glared at him. Okay. I'm going back to sleep then. Ethan climbed off the bed and put on his shoes. Humph. Sooner or later, half that bed will be mine. Ethan grumbled as he opened the door and left. Good night, Grace. Good night, Master Ford. Grace responded. The door closed, leaving Grace alone in the room. Stinky Ethan, want to hog my bed? Dream on. Grace lay down, turned her head to see the pink pig plushie leaning against the headboard, grabbed it by the head, pulled it over, and hugged it. Mister. Oink, oh mister. Oink. Why do you look a bit like Stinky Ethan? Same piggy head and piggy brain. But luckily you aren't him. Look how well I treat you normally. I'll wash your fur and spray you with perfume. Grace muttered to herself, rubbing Mr. Oink's face with both hands. Crap, it's Sunday. I forgot to take my bike to fix the chain. Grace sat up abruptly, remembering she had to go to work tomorrow, but her bike chain was broken and she had forgotten to get it repaired. Whatever, I'll ask Master Ford for a ride tomorrow. She lay back down and punched Mr. Oink flying, sending him landing back against the headboard. The next morning, Ethan hadn't woken up yet, but he was jolted awake by the Grace Miller alarm clock. Bang, bang, bang. Master Ford, wake up. Ethan subconsciously opened his eyes. Sunlight slanted through the window into the room. He got out of bed, walked to the window, and saw Grace tying her hair on the opposite side. Today she was wearing jeans and a white t-shirt. Although the style was simple, wearing it on her gave a unique charm. The tight jeans, in particular, outlined her perfect figure, making her very eye-catching. Ethan quickly slurped up his drool. Morning, Grace. Aren't you going to work? Why are you waking me up? Ethan was still sleepy and yawned. Master Ford, my bike is broken. I forgot to take it for repairs yesterday. Can you give me a ride to the company? My place isn't far from your shop anyway. Grace requested. As long as you ask, I'm happy to. But you can't make me work for free, right? Ethan took the opportunity to seek an advantage. Grace rolled her eyes. This stinky Ethan, actually negotiating terms. Say it. What do you want? A breakfast skillet isn't too much to ask, right? Fine. Just a breakfast. I'll treat you. Good. See you in a bit. Ethan washed up quickly, then waited for Grace at the door. I'm coming. Grace came out bouncing, carrying a small satchel, obviously in a good mood today. After you, Princess Grace. Ethan grinned. Little Ethan, lead the way. Grace tilted her chin up. The two went downstairs together. Ethan got on the bike she gave him, carrying Grace toward the architectural design firm. It was rush hour. Crowds of bicycles swarmed toward the other end of the road like a tide. In this era, most people rode bikes or took the bus to work. There weren't actually that many cars on the road yet, so the driving lanes didn't seem crowded. Instead, the bike lanes were packed. Too many people today. Princess Grace, hold on tight. If you fall off, don't blame me, Ethan laughed. Grace sat sideways on the back rack, her right arm tightening around Ethan's waist. Oomph. If I fall off, don't think you'll stay on the bike either. Grace said arrogantly. Ethan glanced at the sedans whizzing by in the driving lane and said enviously, sooner or later, I have to buy a car too. Buy? Master Ford, are you crazy? How much does a car cost? Wait until you graduate college. Grace didn't quite believe it. Ethan laughed. An ordinary sedan isn't that expensive. I've already signed up for my driver's license. Once I get the license, I'm buying a car. He already knew how to drive. Getting a license would be a breeze for him. He'd have it done within a month. Sure. Take me for a ride when you buy it. Let me see the world too, okay? Grace teased, still not really believing Ethan had the money to buy a car. In her perception, cars were toys for the middle class or wealthy people. For ordinary people, having a motorcycle was nice enough. After riding for nearly an hour, Ethan arrived at the Metro Mall business district and dropped Grace off downstairs at her company. They decided to find a diner nearby to eat a breakfast skillet to fill their stomachs. Ethan went to find a place to park the bike temporarily while Grace waited for him. Suddenly, a young man in a suit walked toward her. Good morning, Grace. You're early today. The suit-wearing young man greeted with a smile. His almond eyes looked Grace up and down, filled with a burning gaze. MMH, good morning, Mr. Bowden. Grace replied indifferently. She was really impatient with this senior coworker. From her first day of work, he had been finding various excuses to hit on her. It was annoying to death. Dean Bowden chuckled. It was a workday again. Being able to see Grace again was great. It was the first time he had seen such a beautiful girl. He was stunned at first sight and swore in his heart that he would win her over. He smoothed back his hair, put on a confident smile, and asked, Grace, I know a new Western restaurant opened nearby. How about I take you to try it this afternoon? Grace squeezed out a polite smile. Sorry, Mr. Bowden. I've already made plans to go home with my boyfriend. What? Be boyfriend? You have a boyfriend? Dean Bowden. Grace's words were like an arrow piercing Dean Bowden's heart. Crash. His heart shattered into pieces on the ground. The goddess actually has a boyfriend. Heavens, why do you mock me so? Since she has a boyfriend, why arrange for her to appear in my world? Dean clutched the area over his heart. Pain. Pure pain. You really have a boyfriend? Dean repeated to confirm, wanting to cry, but lacking tears. Grace nodded solemnly. Yes, Mr. Bowden. Hearing this, Dean suddenly thought of something. Wait, I've never seen her boyfriend pick her up from the company. With such a beautiful girlfriend, not watching over her every day, not picking her up and dropping her off. Is that normal? HM? Wait, could it be? Grace made up an excuse just to reject me. Very likely. Dean suddenly realized this and figured it out. He narrowed his eyes, staring at Grace, and pressed. Oh, but I don't recall ever seeing your boyfriend come pick you up. Grace hadn't thought of a good excuse in the moment, and her eyes showed a hint of panic. When you tell the first lie, you have to use countless lies to cover it. Improvising the cover-up is the deadliest part. Grace had just used a casual excuse. She didn't expect him to keep pressing. Grace gritted her teeth. If this Dean Bowden wasn't the boss's nephew and a top graduate, someone not to be messed with in the company, Grace would have already given him a shoulder throw and slammed the door on her way out. But this internship was something her mom had worked hard and humbled herself to get for her. If she got fired for offending Dean, wouldn't her mom's efforts be in vain? It would make things awkward for her mom in front of her old classmates. Therefore, Grace had to endure. Violence feels good in the moment, but it would cause her family to suffer grievances and criticism. She wasn't afraid of how others viewed her, but she was afraid of her family suffering because of her. Cough. And my boyfriend is usually busy. He doesn't have time to pick me up. Grace dismissed it, but her hesitation and thoughtful expression just now were caught by Dean, making him even more certain she was making up an excuse. Oh, so your boyfriend has no time to pick you up after work. Does he have no time to drop you off at work either? Dean questioned skeptically. Grace froze. Just as she couldn't think of another explanation, she suddenly saw Ethan walking over from the distance after parking the bike. Well, who says he doesn't? My boyfriend dropped me off at work today. Look, my boyfriend is right there. Grace turned and pointed at Ethan, who was walking over, shouting. Dean followed the direction she pointed and saw Ethan too. What? Him? Dean found it hard to believe. Although Ethan looked clean-cut, he wasn't tall or buff, nor was he as handsome as Dean thought himself to be. His clothes were just very ordinary shirts and slacks, nothing outstanding. One glance, and you knew this kid had no money. Grace is so beautiful. How could she be with such an ordinary guy? No, I don't believe it. I absolutely don't believe it. Dean saw the relationship as fake at a glance, feeling that he was superior to this kid in every condition. Grace, I parked the bike. You owe me that breakfast skillet, right? Ethan shouted as he walked over. Only when he got closer did he realize there was a strange man there. Grace, who is this? Ethan looked Dean up and down suspiciously. Dean was also sizing him up, his eyes holding traces of hostility. Hello, I'm Grace's colleague, Dean Bowden. You're her boyfriend? Dean asked with a fake smile, extending his hand. Boyfriend? Ethan paused. Grace hurriedly hooked her arm through his, interrupting whatever he was going to say next, and laughed dryly. Yes, yes, honey. Aren't we going home to cook dinner this afternoon? As she spoke, she was frantically signaling Ethan with her eyes. Ethan wasn't stupid. He instantly understood what was happening. Holy crap, using me as a shield, but this feels pretty good. When he heard Grace call him honey, his heart soared with joy. Ah, right, honey. Tonight, I'll cook and make you something delicious. Ethan suddenly wrapped an arm around her small waist. This sudden touch made Grace's pretty face turn apple red instantly. Her heart suddenly went thump thump, beating faster. Damn it. Damn it. Stinky Ethan is taking advantage of me. He's really rebelling against the heavens. Ethan's hand seemed to carry countless tiny electric currents, making her waist feel tingly and numb, as if countless ants were crawling on it. Grace turned her head and secretly glared at him, but Ethan pretended not to see, snickering inwardly. Instead, he stared very convincingly at Dean. You're Grace's colleague, right? Hello. My girlfriend hasn't caused any trouble at the company, has she? Seeing his beloved goddess's waist being held by a man, Dean's head exploded with a bang. He clutched his heart, wailing internally. God, God, he's actually holding Grace's waist. Lord have mercy. Crash. The glass heart that had just been repaired shattered into pieces again. Pain. Truly too painful. Even though his heart hurt like it was being twisted by a knife, he forced himself not to show it on the surface. And no. Grace has always performed well. Ha, that's good. Honey, seems like you're working hard. I'll have to give you a good reward tonight. Ethan winked at Grace. The sentence had a double meaning. But entering Dean's ears, it was like a lightning strike, leaving him stunned on the spot. Tonight. Reward. An image appeared in his mind. Oh, and oh. No, I cannot accept this. How can a goddess be with such an ordinary guy? No, I won't give up. You're annoying. Grace blushed, acting shy, but secretly pinched the soft flesh at Ethan's waist hard with one hand. Ethan. Hiss. Ethan's eyes. Grace, are you crazy? I'm helping you. Grace's eyes. Can't you tone down your sleaziness? Ethan's eyes. If I don't say this, will he back off? Grace's eyes. Just act normal. The two looked at each other, eyes communicating frantically. But in Dean's eyes, he thought the two were gazing affectionately at each other, sprinkling dog food in public. Those sweet looks were like blades inserting into his heart. No, I won't give up. Since Grace's boyfriend is so ordinary, it means I still have a chance. After all, I'm much more excellent than this kid. Cough. Grace, you guys haven't had breakfast yet, right? How about I treat you to the bistro next door? Dean tried his best to maintain a gentlemanly elegance, planning to perform well in front of Grace so she could see the gap between Ethan and him. The bistro? That's not appropriate, right? That place is quite expensive. Breakfast costs like $50. We won't trouble you to spend money, Mr. Bowden. Grace declined gently. Hey, it's not expensive for me at all. Anyway, it's still early before work. I want to go there for breakfast too. If I don't eat at home, I basically always go there for breakfast. Bring you guys along. More people means it's livelier. Let's go together. Dean adjusted his suit, showing a hint of arrogance. His words were meant to inadvertently reveal that his living conditions were good, going to a fancy bistro every other day for breakfast, something average families couldn't afford. This had a flavor of casual flexing. Seeing him inviting them so strenuously, Grace really didn't know how to refuse. If she refused too rudely, giving him no face, she might get messed with at the company later, or even fired. What to do? Suddenly, Ethan took her hand and laughed in response. Since Mr. Bowden is so gracious, refusing would be rude. Honey, let's go together then. Grace paused, looking at Ethan in confusion. She didn't know why Ethan suddenly agreed. Good, let's go together. Dean straightened his suit and walked in front, leading them to the bistro. Grace and Ethan followed behind. Stinky Ethan, why did you agree? I don't want to eat with him. Grace whispered. Ethan grinned mischievously. Little dummy, for a free breakfast, of course. Grace, Omega. Stinky Ethan, truly, if a man is shameless enough, he is invincible. Grace, don't worry. With me here, what are you afraid of? Ethan laughed. Grace rolled her eyes at him. I'm not afraid of him. I just think he's annoying, and I'm too lazy to look at him. She naturally wasn't afraid of Dean Bowden, just didn't want to offend him easily. As long as it wasn't overly excessive, she'd endure it. If it really became unbearable, she'd give him a shoulder throw and slam the door on her way out. In the spirit of if you can freeload, why worry so much? Eat and drink your fill, then leave. Done and done. Ethan laughed mischievously. Grace thought about it for a second and nodded. I meant not bad. Classic you. She suddenly glared at Ethan. Also, next time, without my permission, you aren't allowed to hold my waist. Ethan said solemnly. Grace, you pulled me in as a shield. Of course, the acting has to be thorough. If we don't do this, will he believe it? Won't people see through it at a glance? Grace blushed, annoyed and embarrassed. Anyway, it's not allowed. Thinking of Ethan's evil hand just now, her waist still felt tingly and numb. All right, but we'll play it by ear later, Ethan laughed. Use me as a shield without paying interest? How's that work? Actors get appearance fees. Can't this award-winning actor get some benefits? The two followed Dean to the breakfast bistro next to the company. Located in the Metro Mall business district, this was a high-end establishment. There weren't many people, but judging by their attire, they were all elite white-collar workers or bosses from nearby businesses. The three found a table and sat down. A waitress immediately brought over the menus. What would you three like to drink? We have a very complete selection of coffees and teas. Here is the menu. Please take a look. The waitress handed a menu to each of them. Dean smoothed back his hair and laughed boldly. Order whatever you want to drink or eat. Don't hold back. This breakfast is on me. He just wanted to show off in front of Grace, hoping to make her look at him in a new light. Comparing the two of them, he hoped Grace would realize that there were actually men in this world more excellent than her boyfriend. Ha. Maybe Grace would change her mind. The more Dean thought about it, the more excited he became. As long as the hoe is swung well, there is no wall that cannot be poached. Really order whatever? Ethan asked with a grin. Yeah, whatever you like. Dean waved his hand, very generously. Ethan immediately checked a box on the menu with a pen. Waitress, bring me a pot of reserved Blue Mountain coffee. He directly ordered the most expensive item, a $50 pot of coffee. Cough. Hearing this, Dean almost choked on his own saliva. Damn, you sure know how to order, don't you? I told you to order whatever, just to be polite. I didn't expect you to actually not be polite at all. Seeing Dean's face darken, Ethan feigned surprise. Oh my, is this coffee a bit too expensive? After speaking, Ethan signaled Grace with his eyes. Grace understood the meaning and pretended to persuade him. Honey, don't order something so expensive. It'll make Mr. Bowden spend too much. How could Dean lose face in front of the goddess? He bit the bullet, squeezed out a smile, and said not too much. It's just a pot of coffee. $50 isn't that expensive. Oh my, Mr. Bowden truly has deep pockets. Indeed, just looking at Mr. Bowden's aura and style, he looks like a rich man. Ethan exclaimed in feigned admiration. Dean was flattered and felt a bit floaty, pretending to be humble. No. I drink this normally too. I also like Blue Mountain. It's quite good. The implication was that he regularly consumed $50 coffee, so it was no big deal. But, in reality, on normal days, he only dared to order the $2 drip coffee. Even if he had money, he wouldn't dare to blow it like this every day. Is that so? Then I'll have a pot to taste too. Waitress, I'll also have a pot of reserved Blue Mountain, thanks. Grace raised her hand. Dean puffed. Cough. He almost sprayed out the mouthful of water he had just drunk. Holy crap. No way. It's just breakfast. Is this necessary? Who expected Grace to raise her hand again and say, since Mr. Bowden loves it too, he should have a pot as well. Hearing this, Dean's heart was bleeding frantically, and his face looked terrible. Grace blinked her big eyes, looking at Dean, and asked, Mr. Bowden, you want a pot too, right? Oh my, ordering 3 pots. Will that be a bit too expensive for you? These 3 pots alone would wipe out half an ordinary person's monthly salary. Dean wiped the water stains off his clothes and squeezed out an ugly smile. No, not expensive. Not expensive at all. Just 3 pots of coffee. Not much money. Ethan continued to flatter him. Oh my, Mr. Bowden is truly generous. Look, this is called class. High class. Mr. Bowden is a man of high class. This little bit of coffee is just small change to him, right, Mr. Bowden? To meet such a generous suck. Cough. Noble person like Mr. Bowden is my honor. Ethan almost slipped up and said what he was really thinking, but luckily he stopped in time. You're too kind. You guys order first, I need to go to the restroom. Dean smiled with a terrible expression, feeling as awful as if he had eaten dirt. Hey, go ahead. We'll just order whatever, Ethan said, grinning. A moment later, after Dean had walked far away, Ethan chuckled and raised his right hand toward Grace. Grace knowingly high-fived him. Oh yeah, stinky Ethan, perfect coordination this time. You really are something.